All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? The more things change, the more they stay the same. Jim is back.
I'm back.
Which means you get Jim's updates. And then Jim tells me off air in that 10-second break we just had, he's like, I thought you had Dutch yesterday. I'm like, we did.
I know.
But he still has a show, and we're going to talk about his contract extension again. We'll talk about senior night again.
Okay.
We'll talk about your bachelor party again.
It'd be nice. Never mind.
What? It'd be nice if what? I can't wait to hear this. Please say it. Say what you were going to say. And I won't be mad because you're coming off kidney stone surgery.
It'd have been nice if maybe
Say it.
I'll rephrase it. It would have been cool if they announced Dutch's extension today, because then it coincides with the Brian Dutcher coaches show.
Okay. So, yeah, I don't know if they're going to announce
and then that would be
5-year extension based on his radio show.
Radio.
True. He joined us.
Even though it already is must-listen radio.
Yeah, I mean, they announced it like 30 minutes before he came on, which was pretty cool.
No, that's very cool. And you told me earlier in the morning that you had a special guest.
Yeah, but I just didn't tell you who it was. I wouldn't even tell Jim because I felt like Jim would go on Twitter and be like, Brian Dutcher's.
When have I ever done that?
Never.
Exactly. So why do you think I would do it?
Because it's Jim.
But
and I thought you might be on like drugs because of your kidney stone.
Okay, so, dude, that experience yesterday, John, Brent, one of the worst, most uncomfortable experiences I've ever had in my entire life.
That's what you said when you had the kidney stone.
I'm pretty sure that's
exactly
consensus.
what you said.
The kidney stone
wasn't as bad now?
No. The kidney stone was the worst. It was the top of the top. Like
because you didn't know what was going on.
That feeling, that pain, top of the top. This was not so much like pain, then it was being uncomfortable. Like, can you, like, those are two different things, right?
Sure.
And this would have to go up there as one of the most uncomfortable things I've ever experienced. The kidney stone is the most painful thing I've ever experienced.
And this is getting a stent out.
The stent removal was awful.
Well, here's the thing.
I think that's the consensus. I don't think the Yelp review is like, I had an awesome time.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Like, it's medicine. I mean, listen, on the other side of it, look at you now. You're here to join us on Jon and Jim. You've been through it.
No,
thankfully they know thankfully they can do this stuff.
Look, my Dr. Salem was fantastic. But it's just the whole process of it all, going into it, really nervous about it because I didn't know what to expect. And they didn't put me under. I was awake the entire time. And then they show me this thing after they yank it out of me. And I'm like, oh my God, that was inside of me?
This goes back to the point I've been saying. First of all, Walt, you're not even fully through the kidney stone thing. And they told you, like, don't drink soda.
What? No, they didn't.
Well, they said that soda could be like a key contributor.
Okay.
And then you had a soda with this stent in your body.
But here's the thing that I was doing. That was the problem. I was having soda, not a bunch, just like a soda, and I wasn't drinking water. So those things combined, it's not a good combo. But when I'm drinking a lot of water, maybe with an occasional soda mixed in, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I could have told you this. I probably could have prevented your kidney stone if you ever asked me. If you would have ever said to me in like the 6-7 years we've known each other, hey, do you think drinking water is a better idea than never having water ever in my life? I would be like, yes. I know that water has value.
Here's the thing. I drink water, but I never drank water that I needed, like how I should have drank water. I think that was a problem.
You live and you learn.
I do live and learn.
And you're still alive.
I'm still alive. And boys and girls out there, I'm just telling you right now, drink your water or else you will deal with the wrath of a kidney stone and potentially a stent, and it is horrible.
Don't scare everyone. Here's the thing. You know what? Take tomorrow off.
Okay.
It's Jim's bachelor party. Okay. Padres are off today, but Jim's off again tomorrow. So Jim's going to Vegas. Nothing like, hey, it's been the worst experience of my life the last month. Let's go to Vegas and party and celebrate and stay up till 6 a.m. with my boys.
Jim's on the Roman Reigns schedule. He's going to show up every 3 months.
Yeah, I work very hard. I show up a couple times a week and then I go home. It's easy.
Has this changed? This is a serious question. And then we could get to sports talk if we want to.
If we want.
Has this changed your bachelor party, like legitimate plans?
How so?
Well, I don't know. You've been in the worst shape of your life. Not physical. Like you've been talking about this and dealing with this for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
you've only gotten out of the hospital now like a day ago. Are you going to like, is it going to be a rager and you're just like doing shots on the top of the bar upside down all night? Is what I mean.
Well,
like John's bachelor party.
Right.
if I still had this stent inside of me, then things would be different because that stent was causing me a lot of pain, like random pain. Like you saw me during some shows. I was like, dude, I don't feel good.
Yeah, I did.
And it just was like hurting my insides and a lot of stuff there. Right. And now with it out, I feel like completely back to myself again, to where I don't feel this bloating. I don't feel this pain. I don't feel like just awkwardness about my stomach. So now things might be different in Vegas in a way that would have been if I never had this kidney stone in the first place.
Well, I would let people know if I was going to be there, but like Darnay Tripp just texted us. Rude that John wasn't invited to the bachelor party.
Wrong. He was invited.
We'll have that conversation over the next 3 hours.
He was invited to the bachelor party. Okay. The bachelor party was initially supposed to be last weekend. All right. Because there was no Aztec game. And I did it for John because it would have worked out best for everybody involved.
It was supposed to be last weekend.
It was supposed to be last weekend because I knew this weekend you got senior night tomorrow. And then after that, we go right into the NCAA tournaments and we have no idea when the Aztecs will be finished with March Madness. So I couldn't like definitively plan something during March Madness. By the way, also Vegas prices during March, the end of March are ridiculous because everyone loves to go to sports books and book hotels.
But anyway.
So I invited you. And I said, okay, look, we have to go this weekend now because of certain plans, because everybody's plans were different. And that's like the hardest part about planning stuff when everyone has different plans. Like,
no, we get it. Yeah.
So then I said, okay, by the way, we'll be golfing on that Saturday all day. And you're like, because you don't golf.
Well, I don't golf, but I went out with Big Rich, TD, and Fletch this morning. They're like, Jim didn't invite you to his bachelor party, right? I'm like, well, he kind of fake invited me.
No,
said that they were playing golf, and you don't play golf, so you won't want to go. And they're like, wait, there's an entire bachelor party of golf?
No,
I'm like,
dude.
that's what I said.
You want to come?
No, you can't do that. You're leaving in like 20 minutes. Okay, we have to get to some. I mean, there's some huge Padres news today. They don't play. They're off.
Yeah.
We're a day closer to Korea. This is what we learned today. Major League Baseball this season, we already knew this, is doing these like prospect games in spring training.
No. I had no clue about this.
They asked us forever ago. We just saw the rosters.
No
That's because
clue.
you didn't look. It's been on their schedule page for 4 months. It says like Mariners prospects, Padres prospects. It's been there for 4 months.
I haven't seen one
promotional
thing about this type of whatever they're doing at all.
Well, but you don't read. You don't read
this morning, whatever.
You don't read. But
I didn't either.
Yeah, but that's fine because who even cares?
But that's the point.
Who even cares?
No. The point is, before what was it today?
They announced the rosters today.
Okay, before today, I had no clue what this was. When I first saw this morning from Major League Baseball teams, I thought it was just like another, hey, look at our top prospects we have. Not like an actual game. I never knew that until today.
Okay, well, whatever. They had previously announced it. So they announced rosters for this, prospect showcase around Major League Baseball. It's the Padres prospects against the Mariners prospects. The other thing we learned today is that Joe Musgrove had like a Camp 44 this offseason with other Padres pitchers.
How many wins does that get you?
Right. We're here. Well, that's where I would jump off with it, because yesterday we were talking about, we went back to like Xander Bogaerts and, his selflessness starting camp by saying, you know what, forget about shortstop. It's an 11-year deal. But if Ha-Seong Kim is better at short than I am, I'll move to second base. What is it going to result in terms of wins and losses? I don't know. Now, is it a step in the right direction because it's like a team first decision? Yeah, I think so. Is Joe Musgrove, working with other pitchers in the organization something that results directly in wins and losses? No, it's one of these vibes things like on social media when they're like, Profar's back, good vibes.
Great vibes.
Xander Bogaerts is moving to second, good vibes.
Great vibes.
Joe Musgrove has spent his offseason, working with his pitching staff, good vibes. I don't know what it's worth. Do you think it's all eyewash?
No, I think that after last year, and Kevin, even mentioned it to Darren earlier this week, and Kevin will be on the show tomorrow with you.
Yeah, with me. Yeah,
with you. That these players were embarrassed by last season. That what happened last year was an embarrassment, and it should have been an embarrassment. What happened last year, for anybody out there that's saying, "Oh, it's just bad luck," like, first off, stop. Second off, it's the player's fault why last year happened. Not because of bad luck. And yes, there is some bad luck in every season for every team. But if you're blaming this last season on bad luck, I don't know what to tell you. You're kind of completely clueless in my mind. Last year was on the players from a standpoint of they let a lot of people down. Okay. Yes, it's also on AJ. Yes, it's also on Bob. But those players were, pretty embarrassing at times last year for the money that they were given and the performance they were putting on the field. I would hope that in this offseason, they take a look in the mirror and realized, yeah, that was bad. And so from everything they're doing with this Joe Musgrove camp to, the crazy amount of positivity from everybody coming out of Padres camp this year, no matter what. Oh, he broke really well on the ball to center field. His at bat yesterday was amazing. It's probably along the lines of, we don't want to have to go through that experience again this year. So we're going to do everything we possibly can to make sure those things don't happen, even if it's just getting together and having fun, because it didn't feel like that was the team last year at all.
But what if I told you, I'm all for Camp 44. I'm all for like non-mandatory mini camps. I'm all for it. I there's no negative. But what if I told you this was the second annual and they did it last year?
Well, it's not just that, John.
But that's the point. Weren't you just making the exact same point?
Well, yes,
you were just saying. So you're going to switch your position 5 seconds later?
Yeah, I guess.
You just went on this 1 minute soliloquy about how this is so important, and then they did it last year.
Okay, you're right.
Yeah. So they did it last year. My point is this.
Well, it's
your point from a week ago. It's the talent that wins out. You're not going to win baseball games by outworking the New York Mets. They're pros too. Marcy, in my opinion, he might have more talent, he might have more ability, he might be better, he may have worked for it, but the reason the Padres are winning this year isn't because they're outworking other teams, would be my guess, right? This is the top of it. Like, this is the top of the sport. 30 clubs, like, talent wins out. Work is all a part of it. I understand it. You get there through work. So Camp 44, that's a part of it. Bogart's moving to second, if that's for the betterment of the team, because Kim's better short than Bogarts. I get it. I just don't know what it equals. What does it equal? We're going to find out. Does it have real, tangible win-loss value?
Well,
and I can't answer that.
Well, I know that a couple weeks ago we had a conversation about this, and I stated that I would take a really talented roster every day of the week over good vibes,
right?
With a less talented roster.
I'm with you.
Like, I would take last year's roster over this year's roster in a heartbeat.
Me too.
In a heartbeat. No questions asked. Even if some players don't like each other.
Right.
Because last year's roster was better than this year's roster. Now, could this year's roster play better than last year's roster? It's certainly possible. Certainly possible. But if you played 5 seasons with last year's roster, I bet you they don't do what they did last year all 5 of those seasons.
I agree.
There's probably 2 or 3 seasons in there where they get 90 plus wins, and then another one where they might win a high 80 total or whatever. But it felt like last year, if you took that roster and played 5 straight seasons with the exact same roster, ages don't change, everything doesn't change, right? Last year felt like was the worst if you were to play out 5 seasons.
So let me ask you this, because like you just said, you don't think it was luck. I agree with you.
Not even close.
So what was the reason? Because if you played 5 times and if 4 of them they win 90 games, and only the 5th is the year that they're 10 games under 500 in September, why?
We'll never know.
Okay.
There's not one definitive answer for last year compared to this year and why this year is going to be better. Just because of the vibes and whatnot.
Right.
It's just it just came down to the players last year just sucked. Like, they just did not play well. They didn't play well. There was a lot of crap going on behind the scenes. And it just didn't work out. And this year's roster and this year's team, the vibes might be better, and that's great. But at the end of the year, when they win, if they win, 81 games, are we going to sit back and say, man, but those vibes were great?
That's
No,
my
we're
problem.
not.
And listen, I have no issue. I do it too. If like we talk about it all off season long, you have to talk about something. So we're providing our opinions on San Diego sports. So I understand what Kevin has written this offseason, or AJ Cassavell or Dennis Lynn. And they're reporting on things that are factually accurate. Like the Padres held a mini camp in the offseason, and this is what they hope that it is able to provide. But we can say whatever we want this time of year, and none of it matters. And same thing with what we're saying on Sports Talk Radio. None of it matters until we see what happens on field. Jackson Merrill could look good in center field in spring training. Camp 44 could have been the greatest time ever. Xander Bogaerts could be the most selfless player in baseball history by moving from short to second. No one cares if you don't win games. And if you do win games, we'll use that as a reason why. And if you don't win games, nobody's going to care about anything that transpired in spring training or Camp 44 or guys moving positions. It's as simple as that.
Because
right?
what did we say last spring training? I think we were all a little worried because of the WBC, and we're a little worried about you, Darvish. And the consensus was, the talent will just take over. It's fine.
Definitely.
That's fine. And then this year, it's the complete opposite. It's like, man, did you see that play that so-and-so made today?
Right.
Like, that was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see that strikeout that so-and-so had? Man, that was one of the best strikeouts ever.
Yeah.
Like the positivity is ratcheted to 100.
Yes.
And we'll see if all of these, quote, good vibes, like you said, will turn into wins. Because this team, compared to last year's team, I think last year's team, the biggest problem was they thought they could just throw their gloves out there and win 90-plus games.
Yep.
This year's team, I hope there is a thought that we can't do that and that we have to do all the little things. We have to work twice as hard.
Mm-hmm.
We have to do things that, maybe we don't want to do, but we have to do because we're not as talented as we were last year. And we knew last year was a disaster and an embarrassment. So hopefully all of those things, and it's not about just the vibes, it's about doing the right things on the baseball field and moving the runners over, hitting with two strikes, getting a runner in with 2 outs, like making the right plays, not trying to play hero ball, taking every at bat seriously, and hopefully those turn into 6-7 more wins this year compared to last year.
It's all possible. What you said is spot on. I agree. It's like what you took for granted a year ago, you no longer take for granted. And maybe that's the difference between an average year and a good year. And I might be biased in it because, again, having worked in professional baseball, I don't know if you realize that.
What? Professional baseball?
Yeah, professional.
Or minor league baseball?
It's the same thing. They get paid. So, and yeah. And like the guys that play for like the Padres AAA are Padres employees. I know, mind blowing. Jackson Merrill works for the Padres even before he gets to the big leagues. So here's the thing. This has stuck with me since a very young age when I was in professional baseball in the minor leagues. And someone told me once, and I said something along the lines of, man, this guy is such a good guy. He just can't seem to like get it all together and get to AA. And whoever said it, I mean, it was like so spot on. It stuck with me for 20 years. It's like, here's the thing though. The Pirates aren't in the business of having good people. They're in the business of having good baseball players. And it's a fine line. You don't want bad people. The goal isn't to have bad people. You'd like it to line up good people and good players, but it's a results-based business. It's professional sports. That's their job.
Well, now you are teetering on the line because I'm sure we'll get some people in the chat, and I'm sure we'll probably get some people in the text line, 70470, start your message with team.
Right.
Well, John, if you say that it's about the business of winning and it doesn't matter if they're good people or not, why shouldn't they go out and sign Trevor Bauer? Why should they go out and do this?
I said it's a fine line. I said you don't just want, I'm not saying you want bad people, and everything is, you have to take it through a lens. Mm-hmm. You have to say, you can't have people, like there's people that like you don't even consider, right, for certain positions because you can't consider them. Within the lens we're looking through. My point is more the Manny Machado, this isn't a high school baseball line. I understand it. I was critical of it because how could you not be? But at the end of the day, what he's saying is this: do your job.
Yeah.
And what your job is between the white lines. That's your job. If you do it, we can win. Simple as that.
Right. So
I do understand that. Mm-hmm. And would I have said it that transparently? No.
Yeah.
And did he catch flack for it? Yeah, because they weren't good. But if they were 90 and 70 and he said the same thing, like our culture is what we do on field. Our culture is what's on the back of our baseball cards. Our culture is playing. I'll take Manny with the baggage if he produces, right? Will you take Manny with the baggage if he produces? Yeah. Would you take Manny if he doesn't hit? The baggage is everything he says.
Oh, yeah.
Everything he brings to the table. The fact that he's disliked by the other 29 teams.
Yeah.
Right?
From that standpoint, yes, absolutely. From like other things, it's there's that line there that maybe you don't want to cross. And obviously teams aren't going there because if teams thought that way that you said, like, oh, win at all costs, doesn't matter.
No, not
guy you
all
are.
costs isn't what I said. There's red lines. It's like there's lines you do not cross. But the line is more. You can live with all the stuff off field within reason if the guys produce.
Within reason, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Tatis hasn't had a golden track record off field.
No.
You live with him because he's going to finish third in MVP voting hopefully the next 5 years.
And Manny off field is like the gold standard. Like off field, he is perfect. Like everything that he does off field with charities in San Diego and everything that he does with his wife, like it's exactly what you want from your superstar face of the franchise. The only thing that we were concerned about is like what he said about what goes on in that clubhouse and his role on this team, where it needs to be like top of the list instead of kind of brushing those things off.
All right, here's what we're going to do. Bryce Miller, UT, he's going to Korea. We're not. He is. He'll join us on the other side. I saw him at San Diego State today. We'll talk about senior night at Viejas with Bryce as well, but he's going to Korea next week. Bryce's thoughts on spring training, on this Aztec season. Bryce Miller, outstanding columnist for the Union Tribune. He'll join us next, Jon and Jim. All right, Bryce Miller, outstanding columnist for the Union Tribune. He's on his way to Korea next week, and he'll join us next.
All right, this update is brought to you by Lowe's. Padres, they have an off day today. They're back in action tomorrow. Cactus League play versus the San Francisco Giants. 5:40 first pitch there. Yu Darvish on the mound for the Padres. And tomorrow is senior night for the Aztecs as they take on Boise State. Last game before the Mountain West Conference tournament next weekend. 7 p.m. tip-off, 6 p.m. pregame. You can listen to that right here on San Diego Sports 760. Power through your spring at Lowe's with Ego, the #1 rated brand in cordless outdoor power. Buy one select spring trimmer, leaf blower, or mower kit. Get one select 56-volt battery for free. Valid through 4/3 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
All right, so always good to see Bryce Miller. Saw him earlier today at San Diego State as the Aztecs are getting ready for senior night and football for spring practice, women's basketball for the Mountain West tournament. And I asked Bryce when I saw him, I said, "You're going to be in Vegas, right?" I saw him last year. I think I've probably seen Bryce the last couple of years in Vegas. He's like, "No, I'm going to be in Korea." So that's because the Padres will be in Korea in the next couple of weeks, and Bryce will be there to cover that series. So Bryce Miller back with us here, Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. Bryce, always appreciate it. What is I mean, it's probably easy to be like, well, the most intriguing or compelling storyline is Ha-Seong Kim's return, so to speak, to Korea. But what else is there? I mean, what's compelling? I mean, there's a lot, but what's most compelling for you as you're getting set to spend a week plus in Korea?
Well, there's a lot that's compelling, I think. I mean, in almost every direction. You've got Mike Schultz's first game as manager of the Padres. You got Ha-Seong Kim returning home. You've got anything just, in the same region, having Yu Darvish there, having Yuki Matsui there. There's just going to be a lot of interest across those countries in general, not just Korea. But beyond that, it's hugely significant for baseball in total. It'll be, Shohei Ohtani's first game for the Dodgers. It's the Dodgers. It'll be the first 2 games of baseball's regular season. So everyone in the league is going to pay attention to those games because they're the first ones out of the gate, and it's a really unique situation. on so many levels. I think, personally, I think Ha-Seong Kim going home and Mike Schultz first game, for me, being somebody who works at the Union Tribune, lives in San Diego, that's where much of my interest lies. But to be honest, I think Shohei Ohtani takes the oxygen out of the room. He does that almost anywhere he goes, but certainly in this situation, the reworked Dodgers lineup that he's right at the top of in terms of expectations and expected productions. And he has done nothing to diminish expectations in spring training, even in limited at bats. He's looked incredibly good, which should be a surprise probably to no one. But Otani's the big name there, but there are just so many other storylines related to this trip.
Yeah, storylines galore for this team. A lot of new faces, a lot of debuts that we'll see in Korea, especially for the Padres and the Dodgers. But sticking with the Padres here, Bryce, are you surprised that no activity to improve this roster with the amount of holes they have on it with less than a week here before they leave for Korea?
Yes, yeah, I actually am. We're into March. Just the point that they do have a range of holes, but they're working against this economic backdrop of trying to, reset the clock on the competitive balance tax, of which they are at this point multi-season offenders, and the penalties increase. Without getting too deep in the weeds, it gets more expensive the longer you continue to exceed that competitive balance tax threshold. But you can reset that clock if you're under. And start that again. And it's clear by what they've done that they want to try to straddle the fence of trying to be good, not trying to waste the windows of some of their star players who have huge contracts. They're getting older every day, but at the same time, trying to make this economic gymnastics thing work. Jackson Merrill has done nothing to make you think he couldn't potentially handle playing at the big league level, but he hasn't played above Double-A, and he had limited at-bats there. And it's one thing to look really good and comfortable in the spring, and it's an entirely another thing to play daily at that level, and the grind of it and all the things that come with playing at the major league level. But it looks like that might be their opening day center fielder, and who's the DH, and is there another left-handed at bat? Is there another starter? So that's a super long-winded way of answering the question. But yeah, I am surprised.
And we all agree, resetting the CBT is something that it looks like they're doing because actions speak louder than words. But their words, especially from AJ Preller, was after the Juan Soto trade that they were going to use that money they saved to fill out the rest of the roster with their holes. So why do you think they're just not openly telling, hey, look, this is what we're doing. We are a little capped on money here, instead of kind of leading the fan base down this path of thinking, oh, we traded away Juan Soto to save $30 million, and we're going to use that money to go fill the rest of the holes?
Well, I think it's hard to definitively evaluate what they have or haven't done at this point without more information from the Padres. What we don't know is they could have been in on a range of players that the ask was too much. They could have been in on a range of players. They said, we like this guy, for 1 or 2 years, but not 4 years, and not for this money. They might not evaluate certain options on the market in the way other teams do. The move I also think you can't do is just start grabbing guys to grab guys, just because you've got some money on the table. Based on our rough math, it probably could safely spend around $20 million potentially and still live inside that competitive balance tax threshold, benchmark that they're looking at. But you could have minor league players come up. You could have trade deadline stuff. So more likely, I think, than that $10 to $15 million range. They certainly could make moves there. But what we don't know is, are they waiting on the right guy? Do they not want to overspend on this guy or that guy? So it's more complex. And AJ Preller is not he's not the kind of GM that's going to share some of that strategic outlook. So just because they haven't done something, I don't know that it means that they haven't tried or they're not waiting for something they think fits better into their plan.
Yeah, but reportedly, I forgot about this. It was brought up recently. Reportedly, they were willing to spend $100 million on Jung Hoo Lee, but they certainly haven't thrown away, used anywhere near that money in actual moves they've made since not landing Jung Hoo Lee, who went to the Giants. Bryce Miller's with us. So, Bryce, I saw you over obviously on the Mesa earlier
Right.
today. And we could talk about Jaden Ledee. I know you're writing something on him because I heard your line of questions and about the amazing season he's had. But I was thinking about this recently, and especially with Bob Butler's answer to something that was asked today, and how emotional he got after he lost his sister a couple of years ago while playing at San Diego State. But I guess the question is this: are fans realistic with their expectations? I mean, this is a team that might be ticketed for an identical seed in the NCAA tournament last year, if not better. They're playing in a great league. They've had a very good year. I mean, by all measures, they've had a very good year. Are people like what is the expectation? Haven't they lived up to it to this point or not?
I think, for the most part, they have. The league is better top to bottom this year. It's incredible. You and I were talking today. This could be the best Mountain West conference tournament in history. I mean, you're talking 5 to 6 teams that could be in the NCAA tournament. And, Brian Betcher talked about that. Can you imagine it could be 2 NCAA tournament teams potentially if things fell a certain way that are playing in the play-in day, in a play-in game, essentially. That's incredible. So navigating that with this record and the net ranking that they have, yes, for the most part they have. I wrote about it. It was in the paper already, but I think the difference is they get in trouble away from Viejas potentially because they can't consistently shoot well enough. It kind of is almost a backhanded compliment that they've piled up these wins and they've done everything they've done to this point in spite of that, in spite of being the worst shooting team in the Mountain West from the floor, from 3-point range. But they do so many other things incredibly well, starting with defense, that it's one of those things you worry if they get into the tournament. You have the kind of shooting, twice on the road in the Mountain West, they shot like 15.8% from 3 on 19 attempts and almost identical performances in 2 road games. You can't do that and survive. So for the most part, yes, they've lived up to expectations, but I think it's fair to also have concerns about this group because it's so easy for teams until they can prove they can shoot better or maybe get better shots. They'll double team and harass Jaden Ledee, who gets a lot of calls at home, but very few on the road.
Yeah, no, I think it's well said. I guess maybe the question is, and for another day, I mean, we could talk about it for forever, but it's like, what are people's expectations? I mean, you got to a national championship game. Of course, the ultimate goal is to win one, but they're going to enter the NCAA tournament as a 4, 5, or 6 seed. That seed doesn't line up with winning 5 NCAA tournament games, which is something they did a year ago. So if they make the Sweet 16, they lose. I mean, they didn't get back. Well, yeah, it's hard. It's really hard to do what they did a year ago. Bryce, appreciate it. Really do. Safe travels. Good seeing you earlier today. And we look forward to catching up again at some point here in March.
Thanks, Bryce.
Yep. Sounds good, guys.
All right. Great stuff. Bryce Miller, columnist with the Union Tribune. Remember, on the other side, it's not a fire sale, right? It's clearly not for the Padres. It's not a fire sale. It's not like they've had the biggest payroll deduction in baseball this year, right?
Oh, wait, they did.
That's on the other side. Okay. That plus the wrap is still ahead. Plus, we'll tell you about our giveaways here today as well. Stay with us on Jon and Jim. Padres have not undergone a fire sale, right? Who's got the largest payroll deduction in baseball in 2024? We'll tell you next. All right, John and Jim back with you. Brian Dutcher will join the show at 6 p.m. The Brian Dutcher Show. If you have questions for the head coach of the Aztecs ahead of senior night tomorrow night, 70470 start it with team. We're broadcasting live tomorrow from Viejas. By we, I mean me and Ben Fletcher. Jim will be in Vegas. Who even knows what'll be going on by 3 in the afternoon?
You only get one bachelor party, John.
Yes, that's arguably.
Yeah,
that's what Aaron thinks.
Some people get multiple.
Right.
No, this will be the one and only. I like that. Definitively say that.
Okay, good.
Definitively say that.
So what are you saying?
That this is my only one
I know.
bachelor
So are you going to live it up, or are you just going to be like, I need something definitive that is unique? Because what I've heard so far, golf, dinner, yada, yada, that's not unique. Bachelor parties have to have something that you're not doing in any other circumstance. Otherwise, it's just a weekend with buddies. Yeah, what's the difference between a weekend with buddies and a bachelor party if you're playing golf and eating sushi?
Here's the difference between the weekend with buddies. That's like just a weekend with buddies. My two best friends from back home, they have kids, so it is kind of hard to all plan a weekend together.
No doubt.
Where we're all together, especially when you have one of my buddies has a 2-year-old and the other has a 5 and 3-year-old.
Bring them.
Yeah, a little hard, a little difficult to do that.
Yeah.
So
that's what makes it unique, because you don't get time to spend time alone because they have kids.
Correct.
Yes, that's fair.
Yeah. And so having a weekend where it's like just us and then my brother, who will be there as well.
So tomorrow night, or what time are you getting there tomorrow?
I get in at, I think, 1:30.
So what's the Friday plan?
Their flights got pushed back, so they're not getting in until like 3:45. And we're staying at Circa.
Yes.
So I'll go to Circa. Love Circa.
Yes.
And then
gonna play that big Padres night game against the Red Sox. Darvish on the mound.
Yeah, I might.
Yeah.
There's no real like definitive plans other than we're going to an escape room tomorrow night. and then we're just gonna mess around, go to Fremont Street or wherever, whatever. Saturday, we're going to a really nice golf course, golfing there. Coming back, messing around.
Messing around. Okay.
I don't know, gamble,
Yeah,
drink, hang out. Like, what do you expect us to do in Las Vegas, other than that?
Okay.
And
sounds
then,
crazy.
But why does it have to be crazy? Why does every bachelor party have to be crazy?
How many bachelor parties have you been to?
Oh, what a lovely tea party.
I've been to 3. And
Have they all had some level of craziness or no?
No. I went to one that was in Lake Tahoe, and we rented out this huge cabin for the weekend. And we went on a boat, and like that was nothing crazy about it. Went to dinner, hanging out at the house, play some games, like nothing crazy about that. And then 2 other ones went to Las Vegas. One was a little crazy because we lost some people on the trip, and they ended up with like some hookers and stuff. But
oh, okay.
yeah.
All right. I should stop asking questions. Okay, so we have this.
So nervous.
We have this.
You asked me.
Yeah, I
you
did. I didn't know you were going to go for me saying. I didn't know we were going to go. I didn't need that level of description.
But you told me. You said, "Dude, when have you been on a bachelor party that's been crazy?"
Someone help me.
And I just told you that one of the bachelor party I went on, 2 of the guys on the trip who actually were dating 2 girls at the time went and got with some hookers, and it turned out to be like, what is happening with those 2 guys?
MLB payrolls.
You asked me, so when I tell you, you can't be like, oh,
I don't know why I'm even asking.
I didn't want to know.
I don't even know why I'm asking. MLB payrolls, right? I spent all off season saying, listen, this payroll's getting a little low. They've traded Juan Soto. They haven't used any of the money.
It's still a very competitive, like in a vacuum, very competitive payroll.
Yeah, here's the problem.
I know.
So no team has lowered their payroll more than the Padres.
Correct.
That's factual. Now, they don't have near the lowest payroll. Make no mistake. It is a competitive payroll. It's right in the middle of the pack. They've gone from essentially 255 to 160. That's negative 95 million. The next closest team in terms of millions lower from 2023, the Angels are minus 40 million. Padres are minus 95. You could basically say, well, it's Hader, it's Snell, it's Soto. Okay, I give you that. But they haven't used any of the money. We knew they wanted to stay under the CBT, but now they're well under the CBT. And the issue with what you said, you're right, it's a competitive payroll. How much of the 160, Jim, you tell me, is tied up in Bogarts, Machado, Tatis, Darvish, Musgrove?
Like over
I don't know
100
the
million.
answer. Over 100?
So you got 30 for Tatis.
It's a little less.
Okay. Like 28.
Yeah.
20.
27 for Bogarts. That's 55 combined.
You have 20 for Joe.
That's 75.
You have like what, 17 or 18 for you?
Let's just say that's 92. And then 30 for Machado, or a little more.
A little more for
31.
Yeah.
So that's actually 123.
Yeah.
If I did that right. So let's just say rough numbers. 120 if you're 160 is in 5 guys.
Yeah.
40 is in the other 21.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's a little dicey.
Yeah. It will forever go back to, unless he actually has a really good season, turns it around, plays at an all-star level, doesn't completely suck with runners in scoring position. And that's Xander Bogaerts. That contract, if those things that I just said don't happen this year, which you knock on wood and you hope that he turns it around, that will go down as just not a good contract. And it's hurting this team, especially if this team's payroll is only going to be between 160 and 180 million dollars with Eric Casenda in charge.
And I agreed, and I still am willing to say it is not a fire sale. But man, if some other shoe drops, if we get through the Korea series and someone else gets traded, like if Kim isn't here at the end of the year, and they don't make the postseason, our like obituary on the season might use the word fire sale.
We really don't want to say like, kind of told you so. Like, not from a standpoint of like, oh, we think this team isn't going to be good this year, but the question marks that we've had for this team, we hope don't turn into actually like turning out to be a major problem.
Right.
You know, because we have questions. We have legit questions. We'll continue to have legit questions until the end of the year, and we'll see how they play out. But we just don't want to be sitting here at the end of the year saying, yeah, those questions that we all had, most of them turned out to be like problems.
Next hour, your chance to win a pair of tickets to the Shamrock St. Patty's Day Music and Beer Festival. Is the Mountain West making a short-sighted decision that hurts San Diego State? We'll discuss that next hour as well, plus the wrap. Brian Dutcher Show at 6 p.m. as well. Stay with us on Jon and Jim. So I'm driving over to San Diego State this morning for a press conference, and I'm hungry, and I considered stopping somewhere and picking something up. And when you're on the go, you're picking up something that's unhealthy. Then I remembered I had a whole pack of Almond RX in my car. So I snacked on that. Almond RX, you need to pick it up. You're going to eliminate the vending machine from your daily life. You're going to get your daily dose of vitamin D. It's a healthy snack for the entire family. It curbs hunger. I mean, this is the type of thing that's like a meal replacement. You're not going to be hungry for hours. Trust me. I've been eating them over the course of the last couple of weeks, if not couple of months. Almond RX is the first and only skinless almond fortified with vitamin D. It's skinless, it's healthy, it's tasty, it's affordable, and it was founded by a San Diego sports medicine physician. Almond RX is packed with a powerhouse of nutrients and antioxidants. It supports your heart, your cellular health, and your gut health as well. It's got several other healthy benefits. Again, founded right here in San Diego. You can find it at Foodland in San Diego County, Harvest Ranch at Encinitas, or at almondrx.com. That's ALMONDRX.com. And if you order now, you're getting free shipping on orders over $25. So again, go to almondrx.com. Free shipping right now. ALMONDRX.com.
All right, this update is brought to you by Lowe's. We'll start with the Padres. They have an off day today. They're back in action tomorrow. Cactus League play versus the San Francisco Giants. 5:40 first pitch in Peoria. Yu Darvish on the mound for the Padres. And tomorrow night is senior night for the Aztecs, final regular season game of the year before the Mountain West Conference Tournament next week in Vegas. 7 p.m. tip-off tomorrow night. 6 p.m. is when our pregame coverage starts right here on San Diego Sports 760. Power through your spring at Lowe's with Ego, the #1 rated brand in cordless outdoor power. Buy one select string trimmer, leaf blower, or mower kit. Get one select 56-volt battery free, valid through 4/3 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? This is hour 2 of Jon and Jim. Again, the Brian Dutcher Show tonight, 6 p.m. right here on San Diego Sports 760. I wasn't listening to Jim's update there. I don't know if he included it.
Yeah, I didn't.
That was my speculation,
Yeah.
so that's why I figured to lead with that.
Sorry.
If you have a question for the head coach of the Aztecs, you can text us, 70470. Start your message with the word team.
You know, no one even listens to my updates anyway.
That's okay. He'll remember next week.
So when I
Yeah, exactly.
when I put it in an update, no one's listening because you don't listen to my updates. No one listens to the updates. But
so
when
no one listens to the
but
updates
here-
is your lead here?
But when we come back and then you mention the Brian
Something
Dutcher
in there.
Coaches Show,
It's more
people-
impactful because people are
yes, 'cause
listening.
people are listening to that
I like that.
because we're actually into the show and we're talking about it. So then when you talk about it, we spend a good minute and a half on it rather than just a quick
Serious
mention of it in an
question.
update.
Serious question, 70470. Start it with team. Has anyone ever received something newsworthy from Jim in an update? Like, have you learned something? Like, you didn't know that the Aztecs had won a basketball game from 3 days ago when he says it Monday, or that like the Padres lost in the postseason to the Dodgers like 3 days earlier and he says it Monday. Have you ever, I'm seriously, have you gotten in your car before? We've all heard an update before, like, oh, I was looking for that NFL score. I just found out the Broncos are up. But have you ever listened to Jim specifically and learned something while in your car that you were hoping to hear? 70470. Start with team. I'm very curious.
All right, let me ask you this.
Yeah,
So for a San Diego sports radio show,
that's what this is.
this is what this is. What do you want me to put in the updates?
We've had this conversation. If I was the update guy,
yes.
now it's not part of my description. They didn't.
Not
I
really
didn't
part of
come-
mine either, but
No, it's part of yours.
it is.
I think so.
It's not in the contract, but it's fine.
I don't think you have one.
I don't think I do either.
So here's the thing. If I was the update guy, I've always said this. You know me. If there's one thing I've said about doing updates, if I'm doing an afternoon show, again, if I was your boss, I would be previewing what's to come. Are you listening? No.
Yes.
What would I be doing? I'd be
Previewing what's
to
to come.
So if I'm doing a 3:30 update
Yeah.
and San Diego State's playing tonight at 7,
Mhm.
I would say San Diego State, Boise State tonight at 7. It's senior night. The following 5 players will be honored before the game.
Okay.
If it was a Padres game, as opposed to saying at 3:30, hey, Padres lost the Mariners yesterday, I'd say game 2, Padres, Mariners, Darvish, blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
First pitch, Padres look to even up the series at a game apiece.
Okay.
But I'm not the update guy. I'm just giving you my 2 cents.
Okay.
But I like your updates.
No, you
And
don't.
by like, I mean hate.
By like, you mean you never listen to them at all.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to be that guy. I hate to be that guy.
have told you, I try to keep these updates as simple and as quick as possible because we get back at the top of the hours and the bottom of the hours. And if I make an update 2-3 minutes long, by the way, I don't even know how long the update bumper is. What? It's like 90 seconds.
It's longer than that, but nobody ever goes the full length.
Like,
Yeah.
I'll give you something for your update. Okay, here. I hate to be. Can I be this guy?
And I
Is
never
this mean?
I
Were
always
you asking for critique?
Yeah, give it to me.
Okay, so here's what I'm giving you today. Jaden Ledee was announced as one of 5 national finalists for the Karl Malone Award, which is given annually to the nation's top power forward. He's writing it down. He's putting it in his update. Right? Maybe here, just before the show starts every day, just ask me, hey, has anything happened today? I'll give you a couple things. Locally, San Diego State's Jaden Ledee. We could talk about spring football coming up, by the way. They officially announced the spring football game April 20th at Snapdragon Stadium. Put that in. Free tickets are available at GoAztecs.com.
What they announced?
The spring football game
Spring
is officially April 20th at
football.
Snapdragon Stadium. So these are the things. Just ask me. I'll do the updates. Forget about it.
Okay,
Forget
so
about it.
Hold on, the text line. Jim's updates are like his stent removal, painful as hell, and wish it was over before it even begins.
I agree with you. I want the updates to be as quick and as painless and just over with. So now, okay, I have 5 stories here. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So I got the Padres. They're an off day. They're back tomorrow night. Cactus League Giants. Got the senior night tomorrow for the Aztecs. Jalen Ledee announced as a finalist for the Carl Malone Award.
Mm-hmm.
Brian Dutcher Coach's Show. Spring football game. All right.
That's
five stories.
good. That's seriously, that's good.
5 stories and this read.
Are you saying, can you do it in 90 seconds?
Can I do it in a minute?
Jim, you don't say
You
anything.
should be able to, yes.
Yeah, you're not going to give a lot of detail there. You know what I mean? Spring football game, April 20th.
Do you think I could do it in a minute?
I did 4 stories in a read yesterday, and it was about 1:10.
Let's try it at 4:30.
Well, I want my update to be like 45 seconds.
You want to do 4
And
seconds.
read faster.
I want it to be very quick.
This is a good radio tease. You have to stick around until 4:30 to hear Jim's next update.
All
Does it make it inside the musical bed that's playing underneath? What do you got, Brent?
Nothing. Text line in quotes. I try to make them as simple as possible. Haha. Yeah, Jim, we all know that.
All right.
I'm not hiding away from this. I'm not like saying I
know. That's why I love
I
you.
try to make this update as like insightful as possible
No,
because I want to get
respect
into this
it.
show as quick as I can.
I like that.
And I rather just talk about whatever in the update in the show.
All right, coming up at 4:30, is the Mountain West making a short-sighted decision that could impact San Diego State men's basketball? All right, we'll discuss that at 4:30. Right now, let's get to this.
Where does Jaden Ledee rank all-time? Rank in your all-time Aztecs?
Well, if he is a All-American this year, there's only been 3 in the history of the program, right?
Yes.
We went through that.
Yeah. So he'd be definitely for me top 4
based on that.
Is he better than the other 3 though?
Who did we say, Brent? We had
Kawhi,
Michael Cage.
and Michael Cage.
Yeah.
Okay, if that's the Division I history of the San Diego State men's basketball All-Americans, that's an amazing list.
And there's been some amazing players
Tons
that
of
has come through here in an Aztecs uniform. I'm just basing this question off of him probably being an All-American and the having only 3 total in the history of the program. I mean, I put him in that category. Like if he makes an All-American list this year, then it's 4 players. Is he better than those 4, do you think? Or the 3?
It's so subjective.
I know,
Like I've
it's
talked to
very
Dutch
subjective.
before in a show before. I think it's an interesting conversation for fans. I'd be like, Dutch, how would the 2011 team with Kawhi play against the 2020 team with Malachi?
Subjective. I get it.
It's like, I don't know. Or how would the 2023 team play against 2020 and so on and so forth. So it's very subjective. I think we can definitively say, without getting into specifics, he's one of the best Aztecs men's basketball players ever, or he's having one of the best seasons in school history. I think that's pretty definitive. Now, a lot of acclaim is based on what happens in March, and we'll see what transpires for the Aztecs coming up here in the weeks ahead. But he's had an amazing season, considering the attention he draws defensively every single night, double and triple teams. It's amazing what he's been able to consistently do, and he's deserving of being an All-American this year.
Yeah, I obviously didn't watch the Michael Cage years here in an Aztec uniform, but he is a Hall of Famer. He is the Aztecs all-time leading scorer with 1,846 points. I would, if you're looking at the history, I mean, Michael Cage is probably top of that list. I can't remember the Kawhi year here, but yeah, man. I mean, it's hard to say that he's better than Michael Cage. It's hard to say that he'd be the best Aztec player of all time, but he's I mean, it's still great to say that he is one of the best Aztecs players ever.
By the way, when you said that, it didn't ring to me. Brandon Heath is the all-time leading scorer in San Diego State history.
Did I read the wrong
you
page?
said Cage is second, but Brandon Heath is the all-time leading scorer. But I mean,
didn't update here. Sorry.
Good. Put in your update.
Whatever.
Next question. When he retired, he was the all-time leading scorer.
That's what it says here. That's what it says here. Okay, my bad.
What team will Russell Wilson be the quarterback for next year?
The Las Vegas Raiders.
Russell Wilson, Raiders. That's an upgrade.
Well, they don't
But
have
I
a
mean,
quarterback.
you say that Russell Wilson hasn't done anything for 2 years here.
Has done anything, but do you want him or Aiden O'Connell?
You want Russell Wilson. What about Minnesota?
They are still probably going to try to sign
Cousins?
Cousins, yeah.
Okay. So you say
Steelers.
Vegas? Yeah, Steelers. There's probably a
Giants.
couple really bad teams, but yeah, teams that like could vie for something like a
Yeah.
Pittsburgh, a Minnesota.
Steelers and Giants are the alleged two
Okay.
top contenders.
If you could get Russell Wilson for like nothing, that's great, right?
I think so. Again, without the cost, like, right,
Yeah.
if he's not making crazy money, if you don't have to acquire him via trade, which you don't at this point, I agree. There's upside there. The way Denver went about it was terribly, obviously. They owed him a lot of money. They gave up capital to do it. But you're right. The other side might look better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Without having to give up money or players.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe there's some value in there.
Like, Brock Purdy, what makes him
He's
so
affordable.
valuable is because he's making $800,000 a year.
And he's good.
And he's really good.
Yeah.
But it's going to, and like the thing with Dak, he's really good, but the problem is he's making like $50 million a year.
Right. Yeah.
So that's where you're like, do we want to give a quarterback this much money? Like a $20 million a year for Brock Purdy would be fantastic. But if he's asking for like $40 million a year, then you got some issues. And same thing with Russ. Like for the amount of money that he was making on the Broncos, it was bad. It was horrible. He was not worth that contract at all.
Absolutely.
But if you get Russell for like a cheap deal, I think teams will
maybe
take
you
that
win.
in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I agree. Next question.
How many All-Stars will the Padres have this year?
I'm going to
That's a
go
good question.
I'll go with 3.
Okay. I was thinking the same thing.
I'll go with 3. I'll go Manny, Tatis, and Musgrove.
Ooh.
I'm hoping for that.
I'll go with 3. Here are my 3. Manny, Tatis, King.
I'll change my answer.
Okay.
Manny, Tatis, Hassan Kim.
Ooh, I like that. I could trade out. Honestly, I could trade out one of Manny or Tatis.
You
I
think
think
King's gonna
Tatis
be an
bounces
all-star?
back. I think it's possible because the first half innings aren't concerning to me. Like I think he can give you 15 really good starts. Can he give you 30? He's given teams 15 really good starts. The big question is, can he throw 180 innings? I think we know he can throw 100 innings. Can he give you 180? So I think King could come out of nowhere. I'm with you on Kim. I could see Kim over someone like Machado who's coming off injury, potentially.
I think Kim rose to a level of, like, when you think about baseball players, like a couple years ago, you mentioned to somebody Hassan Kim that's not a Padres fan, like, who's that?
Right.
Now I feel like Hassan Kim, not a household name, obviously, but if you're a baseball fan,
Yeah, you know who he is.
you know who Hassan Kim is.
Yep.
And if he plays well, he might get that push from Korea as far as the All-Star voting goes.
Maybe, potentially. All right, next question.
Who are you most looking forward to in the MLB breakout game?
So we're talking about these prospect games coming up
That I didn't even know about until today.
this weekend. Padres prospects against the Mariners prospects. By the way, on the roster, Jackson Merrill. He's not expected to play because it's next weekend, excuse me. He's expected to be with the team going to Korea.
It's the 15th, right?
Yeah, I think that's right.
Ethan Salas, anybody?
It should be It could be Leo DeVries, who they just signed.
We'll get David J on next week because I know he was at spring training in Peoria. John Conniff mentioned it to me, so he's like, "You need to get David J on. He's been there. Seen some guys." So we'll talk to David J about the breakout team. But it's, everyone loves Ethan Salas. Gotta look see what Ethan Salas says. But yeah, DeVries is interesting because. You see that picture of him? He looked like he was like 40.
He did. Was that even him? It was a very weird picture.
I mean, he had like gray
Shading or
hairs and he's
something?
wrinkled.
Yeah,
I was like,
weird. I don't know.
You?
I've seen him before. He looked young.
I'm 12.
Yeah, I don't know. Is this must win?
Oh.
At what point you go to like here?
Do you have the roster in front of you?
I'm not reading it, but yeah.
Give me some like standout names that we've talked
Snelling, Lesko, Drew Thorpe, Iriarte, Major, Salas, Merrill, DeVries, Pauly.
Some names in there.
Zavala, Dylan Head, Jacob Marcy, Homer Bush Jr. is a huge name for their future.
How many of those names are on the flight to Korea?
Well, they're going to take 5 additional players.
I know. So
now, I would think some of them, though, would be veterans. I would think
like who?
Like
Castro.
Like a third
Brad
catcher.
Miller.
No, like a third catcher, definitely.
Brent Sullivan.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, seriously.
Higashioka, I can actually say his name now.
Yeah. So yeah, but I think some of them could be like Jackson Merrill. So Merrill's going to be on the 26-man roster.
Right.
He'll
He'll be a starting center fielder opening.
But could Jacob Marcy be an additional outfielder even if he's not on the big league roster? Maybe.
Graham Pauly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So
And could one of these pitchers? Absolutely.
I think,
a couple of them.
Yeah. That's it. It's funny.
This roster, what's interesting is, unlike the other teams in baseball, this roster won't remain intact. The other teams aren't playing in Korea.
No.
So they can field their prospects.
Right.
The Dodgers and the Padres are actually playing in Korea like the same week.
Yeah.
So they'll take some of these players, obviously.
So again, how many players do you think are on the trip to Korea? I'm going to say 2.
2 of their prospects. Yeah, I could even go high. I could 2 or 3. Yeah, probably. Maybe more.
I don't think any pitchers.
None of them?
I don't think any pitchers.
Okay.
I mean, you only listed a couple, but I think the names that you listed.
Right. The catchers aren't.
No.
Because they have veteran catchers.
Yeah.
Merrill will be.
Yes.
Clearly on the trip. Could Pauly be on the trip? Sure.
Yeah, I think a Graham Pauly, Jacob Marcy.
Yeah. Yeah. So a couple of them.
Two.
Yeah,
Couple.
a couple. It's interesting.
Is that going to really hurt their chances
of beating the Mariners? I don't know how good the Mariners prospects are.
Is that who they're playing?
Yes.
I had no idea.
They are. Yes.
How do they decide? How do they determine that? Who plays who?
Probably because they play in the same stadium.
Well, it makes sense for the Padres and Mariners, but who do the Dodgers play?
Someone else.
Who do the Giants play?
There's no cross league. Nobody's traveling from Arizona to Florida.
No, I know it's
within
all
league.
Cactus League versus Cactus League.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I'm not opposed to it. I will say this: we've been having futures games forever and ever and ever. There's not a ton of discussion around the futures game. I think there are with people maybe in the industry or cover prospects. This is like an extended futures game. These are all like mini futures games. Because futures game is just all of the prospects in one game. But this is all of the Padres prospects in one game.
All of the top prospects. Some might say that this is more exciting than watching the major league team.
No, maybe for some teams. I don't think for San Diego.
Oh, really?
No way. With Machado and Tatis and Bogarts and Darvish. No, I don't think so.
You don't think there's some out there that look at this roster and be like,
give me that?
No, not give me that, but like, oh, that's exciting. Like,
yes,
they get to
I do.
a level of excitement that you might not get watching Cal Mitchell and Tim LeCastro play for the Padres.
Maybe that, but I don't think there's people that say, give me, I'm ready for this.
Oh, really?
I know that this yes, oh, really? Machado, Tatis, Bogarts?
I know, but you don't think some people are looking at this roster and be like, I want Ethan Salas, and I want Lesko, and I want Snellian, and I want Iarte. I want those guys right now. Give me them right now.
If it was Oakland, I'm 100% on board with what you're saying. If this is a team that hasn't won in forever or had a $50 million payroll, I want both. I mean, I think they can truthfully win with some of the players they have in the major leagues. Can some of these guys help? Yeah, probably true. But if you want to see these guys, go to Elsinore or go to, San Antonio. Right. So, I mean, we're going to get I think we'll get the best of both worlds. You're going to see Ethan Salas at some point in the next 2 years. We could agree or disagree on if he's ready. Same thing with Jackson Merrill. You're going to see Jackson Merrill at some point very soon. Likely. You're probably going to see Jackson Merrill in 13 days in the major leagues. Right. You're going to see Jackson Merrill in 13 days at 3 a.m.
I'm just looking at the comments underneath the post today from the Padres about their spring breakout stars.
Right.
A lot of people are excited, man.
Well, they should be. They should be. They have a good system.
A lot of people. Yeah. A lot of people are
but
excited.
I mean, I'm not one to get enamored with one game, spring game.
I'm just going back to the time of when the minor league system with this team, it wasn't that long ago, was more interesting than the major league team.
But that's 16, 17 stuff.
Correct. And it's not the same case here. I'm not saying it because this team on the major league side has talent that those previous teams were only dreamed of having. Yep. But there is a little lean forwardness to the prospects of the excitement level going back to that of, oh, look at all these prospects we have. When in reality, it's guys, let's focus on the major league team first. That's the most important. I get it.
Sure.
These prospects are cool and it's nice to have these rankings out and everything, but they're prospects right now. I'm more concerned about the major league roster.
Yeah. I mean, I think you can be concerned about both, truthfully. I mean, I think you can have one eye on what the second half of this year is going to look like or 2025 could look with some of these players. But again, if this is an Oakland situation, All I care about is that prospect game because I have nothing to care about in the major leagues. They're going to win 50 games. That's not this.
You don't think that if this season goes, kind of wonky here,
If it goes wonky,
then we will be back to a point of we're talking more about
Homer Bush Jr.
Yeah, these prospects than we're talking about the major league team.
It's possible. I hope not. No, I'm not forecasting that.
No, I don't want to forecast that. I hope that doesn't happen. But you could see a scenario with this team not performing well. Trade deadline comes. Bye-bye Hassan Kim. Maybe some unfortunate injuries. Knock on wood that doesn't happen.
Opening day.
Hey.
What's the clip?
No.
Wait till next year.
Ned, I'm not dooming glooming. I'm just saying these are scenarios that possibly could happen.
Yeah, but I will say this. Unlike football or basketball, where names are so household that they transcend, like if you had Caleb Williams on your bench with the Bears because they drafted him but they didn't start him, everyone's gonna be like Williams. Everyone's knowing about Caleb Williams.
Salas.
I know, but it's just I'm saying it's to a lesser, maybe because it's such a local sport.
Not with Padres fans.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Maybe because it's such a local sport. I guess San Diegans will be saying it.
They will,
but not like Caleb Williams with the Bears.
That's not it. Completely different.
How so? Both would be top prospects in their sport.
NFL, baseball.
That's what I just said.
I know, like Padres fans,
but not all
clamoring
you
for.
Go to Petco. I go to Petco. You're not telling me the 50,000 people that are all there for Sammy Zavala. They're there for bobbleheads. Not everyone is everyone knows the system. That's the cut above. Not everyone's Will Holder.
I'm just saying, like,
I'm serious. I mean, the people that listen to us are, but there's a lot of people that don't listen to us that go to Padres games.
Correct.
Because they're just want to do something.
Right. They just want to go and have
I'm
fun
saying
time.
there's a lot of Bears fans. NFL is a different beast. That's what I'm saying. NBA is the same thing.
Yeah.
Is the way I see it. All right. On the other side, is the Mountain West making a mistake? Is it short-sighted? A decision they made today, could it negatively impact San Diego State men's basketball? We'll explain next on Jon and Jim. All right, so imagine waking up this time next week and being 100% debt-free. No credit cards. You heard Jim. No car loan, no personal loan. Hey, guys, it's Shay for Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit can make it happen. Homeowners are turning their home equity into cash almost instantly. With Loan Pronto's AI-based system, you can get approval in about 10 minutes. With almost no documentation, no appraisal, no hassle. You can get hundreds of thousands of dollars out of your home. Use that money to pay off all your other loans. The average homeowner saves over $850 a month doing this. Listen, your home value, it's way up. You can use that to wipe out all those credit cards, get some money for a home improvement. Literally, hundreds of thousands are at your fingertips, and approval is just minutes away. Call now, 619-207-4336. Again, it's 619-207-4336 or loanpronto.com. That's 619-207-4336, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, equal housing lender.
All right, this update is brought to you by Lowe's. We'll start with the Padres. They have an off day today. They're taking on the Giants tomorrow. Cactus League play 5:40 first pitch. You Darvish on the mound for the Padres. Tomorrow, senior night for the Aztecs. They take on Boise State, 7 p.m. tip-off, 6 p.m. pregame right here on San Diego Sports 760. Jaden Ledee was announced as a finalist today for the Carl Malone Award as the top power forward in the country. Spring football game, April 20th at Snapdragon Stadium. Tickets available right now at goaztecs.com. And the Brian Dutcher Coaches Show tonight, 6 p.m. with John and Coach Dutch right here on San Diego Sports 760. Power through your spring at Lowe's with Ego, the /1 rated brand in cordless outdoor power. Buy one select string timer, leaf blower, or mower kit. Get one select 56-volt battery for free. Valid through 4/3 while supplies last. Selections vary by location.
Told Jim off air there. I'm like, that was incredible. That was like one of the greatest things you've ever done in any capacity.
Was that the best
It was
update
amazing.
of my career?
It was great.
How long was that,
Marconi
Brett?
worthy.
How
long
long?
was
He had
that?
plenty of time, didn't he?
Oh, yeah.
How much?
how long
20,
was it?
30 extra seconds to work with?
No, he had like a minute and a half.
Oh, he still had a minute to work with?
Yeah.
Oh,
Technically, there's still a minute on the bet right now.
oh, these updates, I need more. I need
It's- they're
Finland
2.5
soccer.
minutes.
I need
That was a very
Marquette basketball.
no. Here's the thing. That was a very San Diego centric update, which
It's
I
great.
only like doing.
I love that.
I
And
don't
we
like.
talk San Diego sports, you know?
I mean, I'm sorry, but nobody cares about. Sorry, Brent. Nobody
Bucks
cares.
Rockets or something?
No, what the Bears did today with signing their cornerback to a $76 million deal. Nobody cares about where the All-Star game will be for the NBA in 2027.
Where is that? I do. You know me.
Phoenix. Nobody cares about Jonnu Smith signing a 2-year deal with the
No,
Dolphins.
well, hear me out. Just hear me out for 1 second. I'm all for it. If Caleb Williams signs his rookie deal,
those are
you know what I mean?
big,
That
yes,
big. I'm saying
yes.
there's a level.
Yes.
If it's game 2 of the NBA Finals, of course
Right.
you're saying
Ba-
tonight, Bucks,
Bears
whomever.
traded everything
Yeah.
for the #1 pick or
But
whatever the case
I'm
may
with
be.
you. Below
Those
there.
are the top two stories on ESPN.com right now, though.
What
by
are
the
they?
way. The Bears signed Johnson to a deal, and NBA announces the All-Star game
Yeah.
will be held in Phoenix.
Well, we're not that show. We're a local show. We don't really care about anything other
I know.
than
I'm just saying. You said nobody cared. I was like, but actually, those are the top two
Right.
stories.
Well, that's the
I
interesting
meant
thing about local
locally,
sports talk
locally,
radio.
Yeah.
Okay, a couple of things. So most people aren't losing sleep over what I'm about to preach from a soapbox about. So let me preface it by saying that.
I'll let you know after your soapbox.
Right.
rant.
So Aztec fans will understand. If you're a men's basketball fan, you'll understand what I'm saying. So San Diego State, we all know it. They've had so much success, prolonged, making NCAA tournaments. And when they make NCAA tournaments, everyone wants to see them make a run. What's the best way to make a run? You want to be seated properly, yada, yada, yada. And also, if you're in a league that isn't a quote-unquote power league, you want to do everything in your power in the non-conference to build a resume to get to the NCAA tournament, right? Because there's no assurances in the Mountain West. Even though this is a great year, you're going to get 5 or 6 teams in. It's not like that every year. Where the Big Ten may get 7, 8 teams every year, the Mountain West doesn't get 6 every single year. So I think the Mountain West, and this has been discussed previously, is short-sighted here. They've been playing 18 league games in basketball, Jim. That's not a full round robin. A round robin's 20. They don't play everyone home and road.
Yeah.
San Diego State this year is avoiding 2 of the lower division teams, so to speak. It kind of protects their metrics because even if you beat like Air Force, it lowers your strength of schedule. If you lose to them, it's an anvil on your resume. You just lost to a team like in the 200s, right?
Mhm.
So the trade-off is you may not win a regular season title. You don't have the benefit of playing Air Force twice, but you also don't take on the added weight of playing Air Force twice. What the Mountain West decided to do today is not surprising, but to some extent, to me, again, it's short-sighted. They've had 4 teams in the NCAA tournament the last 2 years. They're getting 5+ this year, right? We agree. They elected today officially to go from 18 conference games to 20. Which means no more San Diego State missing Wyoming. No more missing Air Force. You always get them once, but no more missing them a second time.
Mm-hmm.
So what does that mean? Oh, John, you're overreacting. It's just 2 games. I mean, they played non-Division I games this year. They play St. Catherine, John. They can take St. Catherine off their schedule and add Air Force. What's the big deal? It's actually a really big deal. St. Catherine is a non-Division I opponent. It has no impact on your metrics. When you play a team ranked 250th in the net rankings, it automatically weighs down your strength of schedule. You could win by 1 million points. It impacts your strength of schedule, which is something the selection committee uses. There's that. There's the danger of a loss, which everyone understands. That's always a possibility. And here's the other thing. If you take 2 Aztec home games away for an additional home game and road game in the league, when you go from 18 to 20, one's at home, one's in the road. So you went from 2 games at Viejas. We know Viejas is sold out. They need the revenue. That revenue is what allows you to extend Brian Dutcher through 27, 28. So what you're doing in turn is you're not going to lose the 2 home games. You'll make up for it by taking away a home and home. That BYU home and home, that Gonzaga home and home, that Stanford home and home, you can't play them anymore. You have to have a guaranteed home game to make up for the fact that now you have an additional conference road game. I think it's short-sighted. The league has enjoyed tons of success on the basketball side. A true round robin, I get it. It's fair to crown a regular season champion, but teams in this league, including San Diego State and others, have aspirations beyond winning just a regular season title. They want to have success, get to the NCAA tournament, and win. So I don't fully understand it. I respect it, but from a sheer San Diego State perspective, and really from the league's perspective, I don't think it gets them more teams to the NCAA tournament. In my opinion, I think it'll get them fewer teams in the tournament moving forward or lower seeds as a result of this. There's my 5-minute rant. Put it in the update.
Good job, man. That was good. I like that.
Do you have any reaction? Now, you've heard me go down these things. You would never even have cared in your life about this stuff, but you're educated on it because you listen to me.
I know.
Sometimes.
Whether I like it or not.
I think you agree with me. Do you get the full nuance? Because it is nuanced.
Yeah. Yes, I understand it. And to add an extra game or 2 extra games
right
in conference play, you lose the opportunity to schedule out of conference games and do home and homes with teams that could help your resume.
Exactly.
And if you're playing, just using it as an example, Wyoming, and their net's like 180,
250.
It just doesn't help you at all. There's no win. But when you had previously scheduled maybe like, I don't know, like a Washington home and home.
Yeah, that's a great example.
Then
let's say they're top 75.
You miss out on a potential quad 1 game out of conference.
And for your fan base, I think obviously it's hard to schedule. So when San Diego State has a chance to play Gonzaga at home, which they do next year because they play the home and home and they'll get Gonzaga, and that's terrific for Aztec fans. But you don't want to miss out on those opportunities in the future because now San Diego State will have to guarantee home games, which means as opposed to maybe having an opportunity to play a home and home, they'll quote unquote buy a game. So you'll get an additional game against Cal State Fullerton or whomever. And that's fine. And that has value as well. But with all due respect, I think Aztec fans would prefer the opportunity to see BYU every couple of years or Gonzaga or Stanford or Washington, to your point.
Because if you added 2 extra in-conference games, there's a potential. I'm not saying that it would happen, but there's a potential that you don't see them play Gonzaga this year.
That is exactly right.
Or
now,
you
will see Gonzaga because it was scheduled, but into the future, when Matt Soria, who does an amazing job of scheduling, when they reach out, I'm making this up. Let's say, the University of Houston calls, whatever, Texas Tech, and say, hey, we can play a home and home. And Dutch is like, well, I already have Gonzaga home and home. I'm making this up. And I have Stanford home and home. I can't play another road. Now that they've added a Mount West road game in, I need a home game.
Right.
So it makes it even dicier. Does it change everything? No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying, oh my gosh, the future of San Diego State basketball is in jeopardy. I'm not saying that. But the nuance that goes into it when you're not in a quote unquote power league and you're doing everything in your power to build net large resume, I mean, everything, it's all thought out. You don't want to take away opportunities in the non-conference to provide more opportunities in the conference. It's one thing if you're playing in the Big 12, sure, everyone's in the top 100.
And if you heard Scott Van Pelt's one big
Did we
thing,
play that maybe? Yeah.
He made the great point of the Big 12. I mean, they kind of cooked the books. Like they made it so every single team in their conference has a really good net ranking, and they played nobody out of conference. Nobody. It just, I don't know exactly. I don't understand
they
it.
Beat up on lesser opponents to build some level of strength, knowing that the 20 games they play in league are all against top 50 caliber opponents, and they're never going to weigh each other down.
Exactly. I still don't really understand it, but he explained that's what the Big 12 does.
Right.
that's not the case for like the Mountain West, even though the Mountain West has a lot of teams as far as like net rankings go, the
Yeah.
top 75.
But then again, there's the other shoe there is if you have a team ranked below 200, the Big 12 doesn't.
Yeah.
The Big 10, I'd have to look, by and large, doesn't,
Yeah.
right? So that's a big differentiating factor. When you play now 4 games, let's say there's 2 teams ranked 250 or below.
Yeah.
Wyoming and Air Force. I'm making it up. Who cares? But every year, let's just say there's 2 teams below 250. You're not playing 4 games against those teams combined,
with
home and home.
with more opportunities to like Air Force beat who do they beat on the road?
Well, they beat UNLV by 32 points this year.
No, but
New Mexico.
New
just
Mexico
the other day.
Yeah, they beat New Mexico on the road.
You just
and
don't want the additional.
You don't want to
risk.
put yourself in that risky situation where you're like, oh my God, did we just lost to a team that was in the net ranking of 200?
And by the way, it may cost them a berth in the NCAA tournament,
Yeah.
Thank you for making the point. That's why you're here. No, you're here for more reasons.
I don't know
You
why I'm
made
here.
the point, but you're right. There's more opportunities for someone to drop out that's on a bubble because of a result like that. All right, call right now if you want 2 free tickets to the Shamrock St. Patty's Day Music and Beer Festival. This is 9 days away, March 16th in the Gas Lamp. This is a great prize. First 2 callers will be contestants for Trainwreck Radio. That's trivia. We need you to call right now, though, if you want those tickets. They're free. 877-767-4760. Great giveaway. 877-767-4760. Call right now. Again, 877-767-4760. 2 free tickets to the Shamrock St. Patty's Day Music and Beer Festival. We'll give them away next. All right, hey guys, it's Schaefer. I've been telling you about my friends over at Windmill Farms. I was on the Mesa earlier today for a weekly press conference with men's basketball, women's basketball, Sean Lewis with football. And on my way out of the Mesa, on my way over to iHeart, I swung by Windmill Farms for lunch. They have every option you could possibly imagine. I always tell you about the deli. I picked up a salad, pre-made salad today. Vegan salad, by the way, Jim, that I picked up over at Windmill Farms. It was delicious. Had it over here at iHeart before the show. They have everything you could want, including at their deli, where you pick up a sandwich card and your 8th sandwich is free. Wide selection of deli sandwiches, low prices, high quality ingredients, fresh ingredients. In addition to your lunch spot or dinner spot, they have all your grocery needs covered. Whether it's their organic farm fresh produce and meats or their amazing craft beer selection, they're centrally located in the college area. They are family owned. All right. Trevor, his family, they've been serving San Diegans for 20 plus years. They support local businesses here in our community. You don't have to live or work near the college area. They're on Instacart, and you can find them and have your groceries delivered directly to your doorstep. By the way, every week they have specials for you on Instagram or at windmillfarmsmarket.com. I've taken advantage of a lot of them. Again, windmillfarmsmarket.com. And again, whatever it is, lunch, dinner, tailgate needs, game day needs, grocery needs, shop local, shop at Windmill Farms. All right. Our bad. We see the super chats. We're doing a lot back here. It's been a busy week. It's been an interesting week. JD Gacho, you're the man. You're a huge supporter of the channel. We will always get your supers. I apologize if we miss them. It's my fault if we miss them. So my apologies. He says Mountain West was a one bid league in 2016 and 2017, no round robin. Is that right, by the way? It was one bid both of those years? I didn't realize it was one bid both of those years. Listen, I understand what you are saying. By the way, the selection committee process has changed, as we know, since then, and the net ranking and the analytics mean a lot more, and these programs have scheduled a lot more smartly in the non-conference to put themselves to what?
The camera.
Oh, well, who cares about the camera? I'm just leaning forward because I have to. No, because it's off my mic. I hate you. I could use my earbuds, but like that's not a reason for me to expand the league. Like JD Gacho, you know it as well as I do. 4 teams last year. 4 teams the year before, 5+ teams this year. It ain't broke. Why would you make any change? It's not broken. You do not make a change when it's not broken.
It's like when something is going right, it's like, oh, we have to change it because we just need to be new. It's like, stop effing around with stuff, man. Just
right.
Let it be. If it's perfect, why mess with it?
And then he follows up by saying they'll be fine. Just drop 2 big West foes. But I don't know if you heard my explanation. That's not what's going to happen. You're not going to drop 2 home games to play 1 road and 1 home. If you're San Diego State, you're going to play 2 guarantees. It's hard to explain, but JD Gacho, you get my point because you understand the logistics and the nuance of it. So that unfortunately is not what is going to be the way it happens. It can be costly. I'm telling you right now, I've had the conversations. I've done the research. The number of home and homes that San Diego State has played previously will be in jeopardy as a result of this decision. And JD's third, thank you, man. He says, please read JD Gacho's super chat. You guys rock. Subscribe if you're here. Appreciate your support of the channel. We appreciate the super chats. We get to them during our commercial breaks on the radio, and we will be back momentarily. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, bros.
Thanks, bros. Okay.
What?
Turn my mic off. I'm just thinking, my mind's moving at a million miles a minute. By the way, we should get into in the 5 o'clock hour. Brian Dutcher will join us at 6. If you have questions for Dutch, again, announced earlier this week, yesterday, in fact, he joined us on Jon Jim, his contract extension through 27-28. If you have any questions for Brian Dutcher related to his future, obviously, senior night, Mount West tournament, selection Sunday, 70470. You can start it with team. We should get into senior night in the 5 o'clock hour as well. You're talking about Lamont Butler, Darion Trammell, Jaden Ledee, guys that Micah Parrish, guys that played in a national championship game. I know where your mind's wandering. Ask it, and I'll answer it.
So Lamont Butler is not returning. He has a chance to return.
To be determined, he said today.
Okay.
Hasn't fully.
So if he celebrates senior night tomorrow night.
Aguacarope and Nathan Mensah did that 2 seasons ago and returned.
Okay.
So you can still, it's 4th-year player. So he'll go through it because you don't know
Micah
what's
Parrish, correct?
Micah has another year of eligibility. Lamont has another year. Darion, Jaden,
and Jay Powell.
And Jay Powell are out of eligibility.
Correct.
College eligibility. Yep.
Okay.
That's right. But those are your 5 expected to start, presumably, at senior night. You also have Kate Alger, a walk-on, who's from a terrific family, terrific kid, that is a senior out of eligibility.
Got a full-time scholarship.
And got a scholarship. That's right. That we shared that earlier this year. So it's going to be a really special night. They all are. Will you be watching from Las Vegas? That's a serious question.
You know what? I
could be from Circa.
I will.
Yeah. You should have that on 7 o'clock.
I will probably put some money down on the game a little bit. Hey, we're in Vegas. Might as well do it. We'll be at Circa.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about last year's senior night because I missed last year's senior night.
I think you've missed them all.
Well, no, I haven't. But
Okay.
I missed last year's senior night because I was getting engaged.
Always an excuse.
This year I'm missing it because
of your bachelor party.
Next
year it's my 1-year anniversary. Can't make it. 2-year anniversary.
Look, next year I don't have an excuse.
You kind of do. Your anniversary. Well, no, it's not your anniversary, but you're getting married in May.
Right.
So that becomes your anniversary.
Right. Right. Yeah.
All right, let's play.
All right, 3 questions, 2 contestants, 1 lifeline. Today's 2 contestants, we have Eddie and Max. Eddie, you called in first, so you have your choice of Jon or Jim. Who do you want to go with?
Let's go with Jim.
Oh, right.
So that's Eddie and Jim?
Eddie and Jim. Max, your partner is Jon, okay?
I would have picked
All
him
right.
either way.
I
Oh,
know
thank
you
you,
would
Max.
have. All right, Brent, what is today's question of the day?
All right, guys, the Padres are currently tied for 22nd in home runs this spring training.
Oh, my
Ooh.
gosh.
Yeah.
How many have they hit, Brent? Do you have a number?
22nd in spring
11.
training.
11.
They've hit 11? That's not bad.
It's, it's bad enough that
They're
they're 22nd.
Okay.
So Padres are 22nd in home runs this spring. Today's question: name any of the top 8 teams in home runs this spring training.
It's spring training? Okay.
Is this including the Cactus League and the Grapefruit League?
Yeah.
All
Yes.
right.
Any baseball team.
Any team.
Duh.
All right. So, Max, you're up first. What's your first guess? You do have your lifeline, which is Jon, if you want to use it.
I will start off with the Yankees.
The Yankees.
Soto's hit 3, and that's on the list.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know Rizzo has a couple too.
I'm sure Judge has hit 1.
Yeah.
right?
I mean, Soto's only hitting 700 this spring. It's fine.
Yeah.
Eddie, you're up next. What's your first guess? You do have a lifeline if you choose to use it.
I'm going with Dodgers.
The Doyers.
They're even good in spring training.
They're
That's
so
at least
good
like
in
the
spring training.
Patriots are good and they win Super Bowls. They were 0-4 in preseason football. know.
Max, you're up next. What's your second guess? You do have a lifeline if you want to use it.
I'm going to go with Atlanta.
Atlanta.
Braves having a good spring? No, they're not. It's been a terrible spring for those Braves.
The Braves suck.
Yeah. Didn't the Cardinals, I don't know if you have the full list, Brett. The Cardinals, as of 2 days ago, had not homered. I kid you. I think I read that
Correct.
somewhere. Right?
Yeah, the Cardinals. Well,
Like
way,
that's
way to give one of the answers off the
Oh,
off
but
the
they
list.
maybe they hit a lot of home
Maybe
runs
they
the
hit
last
like
2 days.
7
They
that
have
I-
one.
yeah.
They've one
They-
home
It's by
run.
Paul
Yeah,
Goldschmidt.
Okay, let's continue on. Don't say Cardinals.
Who's up next?
Is it Max
It's
round 2?
Eddie.
Eddie's
Yeah, that's
up
what I said.
next. Eddie, what is your second guess? You do have a lifeline if you want to use it.
I'm gonna go with that. Astros.
The Astros.
Stros.
Stros.
No.
Oh.
What?
So what's the score? What's the
1-1.
round?
1-1.
Top of the third here?
It's
1-1,
1-1
final
going to
round.
third round.
Okay.
Max, what's your final guess? You do have a lifeline if you want to use it. What do you got?
I'm going with a lifeline. John, you got it.
All
Save
right,
me.
John, save him.
I mean, I will be honest. I have
He has no clue.
no clue.
Zero clue.
I will go with
Horrible lifeline.
the
Horrible partner.
Philadelphia Phillies.
Horrible guess.
That murderers row in Clearwater.
Such a horrible guess. Do you take that, Max?
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Wow!
Oh.
And Harper's just swinging for the fences every day. I don't know if he's hit any, but
Eddie, you need this to send this thing to overtime. What's your final guess? You also have a lifeline if you want to use it.
Come on, Jim. You got me.
oh, here he goes.
Oh no!
Here you go.
'Cause I have zero clue.
How many are left? 4 or 5? You got okay. You got 4 or 5 left.
Well, crap.
Has anyone said the Cards?
The Cardinals.
So,
I
let's
will
go with
go.
Cardinals.
No, I will go with. No, don't go with the Cardinals.
no.
I'll go.
No,
with,
don't do that. Okay, no. Okay.
I'll go with the Texas Rangers.
Texas Rangers. Do you take that?
Because I haven't seen it, but yeah, let's go with them.
Rangers. No, it's over. Jim, are you serious? You know nothing about spring training
I'm
baseball.
so sorry, Eddie. I'm an idiot and
You're
I don't
so
know baseball.
How do you not know that?
I'm an idiot and I don't know baseball.
Can I throw one out there?
You can throw
It's
2
so
out.
dumb.
You can throw every team out
I'm
there.
going to throw something very dumb out. Not like they played elevation in spring training.
The
I'm saying
Rockies?
The Rockies.
That would be correct.
Yes.
Oh my god!
Yes, they're built for power, even though they suck.
So there's 3 left.
Giants,
No,
Mets,
no.
Red Sox,
They're not going to be anybody you would think
Royals.
the Oakland A's.
Yes.
Wow.
Oakland is on there. Yes. They're
Wow.
third.
Okay, who else? Just tell us.
Pittsburgh is number 1.
Wow.
The Dodgers are 2. Oakland is 3. Baltimore is 4. Kansas City is 5. The Yankees are 6. The Rockies are the Rockies and Phillies are tied for 7.
Jim, No big deal. You just cost, your partner 2 free tickets to the Shamrock St. Patty's Day Music and Beer Festival. Tradition returns as an authentic Irish celebration takes over the streets of San Diego's Gaslamp District March 16th. SanDiegoShamrock.com for tickets and info. You're like a baseball guy. People come to us for baseball talk.
Oh, I'm
YouTube
sorry.
channel,
I didn't
wrap-up show.
I didn't keep up on spring training home run totals for
I had
teams.
2. I had Phillies and Rockies.
And those were complete lucky.
I also knew the Cardinals were terrible this spring somehow.
It was like the opposite of the Padres season last year. Very lucky.
True. All right,
last
on
year
the
was
other
all
side,
about bad luck.
On the other side, Brian Dutcher's show is coming up at 6 p.m. Padres have looming roster decisions. We took a ton of calls yesterday in the 5 o'clock hour on necessity or luxury on adding an outfielder. If you want to weigh in on that as well. Jim's back page is still ahead. So final hour, Jon and Jim. Brian Dutcher will join us at 6 p.m. Stay with us.
All right, this update is brought to you by Lowe's. We'll start with the Aztecs. Senior night is tomorrow night at Viejas Arena as they take on Boise State. 7 p.m. tip-off. 6 p.m. is when our pregame coverage starts right here on San Diego Sports 760. Padres, they have an off day today. They're back in action tomorrow versus the Giants. Cactus League play, 5:40 first pitch there. Yu Darvish will be on the mound for the Padres. Back to the Aztecs, Jaden Ledee was announced as a finalist for the Carl Malone Award, given out to the top power forward in the country. The Brian Dutcher Coaches Show tonight at 6 p.m. with John and Coach Dutch right here on San Diego Sports 760. And spring football for the Aztecs. The game's on April 20th at Snapdragon Stadium. Tickets now available at goaztecs.com. Power through your spring at Lowe's with Ego, the #1 rated brand in cordless outdoor power. Buy one select spring trimmer, leaf blower, or market mower kit. Get one select 56-volt battery for free. Valid through 4/3 while supplies last. Selections vary by location.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? Final hour, Jon and Jim. But we do have the Brian Dutcher Show coming up at 6 p.m. Get your questions in for Coach Dutcher, 70470. Start your message with the word team.
Can I just say something?
Yes, you are allowed to.
Okay.
Not tomorrow, though. You're not on the show.
Right.
So you can say it now.
So, about these updates.
We're still talking about the updates. Okay.
You were right.
I was right. What? Yeah, you have time. Is that what you're saying? Yeah, it's fine. I'm not asking you to do it every day, but maybe I'll give you some things. I'll feed you some stuff.
I can admit when I was wrong. You're
It's
right.
all good. I like that, man.
You're right.
That's good because you're gonna be married soon, so you're gonna be wrong all the time.
Hey,
Yeah.
I am fantastic at telling Erin when she's right. Because a lot of
That's
times,
a good trait.
like when I say a lot of times, I mean close to 100% of the time she is right.
That's
And
good.
and I don't say those things just because to get on like her good side. Like no, like at least when she's legitimately right, which is a lot. I tell her, I let her know, like, yeah, you're right. You're right about
That's
that.
good. That's a good spouse. Seriously.
So,
You
John,
guys hopefully we'll have a good long marriage. You guys have a good relationship. I mean, I haven't spent in all sincerity here, I haven't spent a ton of time around the two of you together.
Yeah.
But I think it's a good dynamic. Seriously, I would not say that I wouldn't say anything if I didn't feel it, but it is true. There's something about your dynamic that is good.
she's great. I don't know why she likes me, but
No, I agree with that.
but no, she's great. I like, when you fought, like you and Kristen, like it was
Yeah.
just like, okay, that's it. Like for me,
Well, I don't know if it was. I mean, you have to ask Kristen. You'd have to ask. Yeah.
I can only speak for myself. And I told you this, like after our first date, I remember like,
Yeah, you're like, she's the one.
I mean, she's the one. She's it.
Yeah.
She's it.
No,
That's
you did say that.
That's it.
You
like,
did.
You just see it. And you're like, I want that.
Now, sure, you said it after 17 other dates. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
No. I used to be the type of person that wanted to be like, okay, that's the one. That's the one.
Right.
And it'd all just be a disaster. But this one, I was like, yeah, that's it. And it worked out. And now we're here. And
And now
married.
you're going on your bachelor party tomorrow.
Now I'm going to a bachelor party
On
and
senior night.
On senior night. I'm just the worst sports talk host in
Honestly,
San Diego ever.
I think Dutch would be cool with it. I think
Ooh,
the
what
Aztecs
a
would be cool with
lovely
it.
tea party.
Oh, yes. Lovely tea
Okay.
party that we're going to have in Las Vegas.
Couple things, because yesterday you didn't get to weigh in on this.
I know.
We took a lot of calls on this, didn't we, Bright? Yesterday in the 5 o'clock hour. Necessity or luxury? Now we talked about it in the wrap-up show. But necessity or luxury,
So I did talk about it.
just to get your 2 cents on it. I mean, it doesn't have to be fam. It can really be anyone that's serviceable that could provide some value here. We're not looking for, Cody Bellinger. That's off the books. You're not looking for a 7-WAR player, but can someone be, provide some value, a couple of wins maybe for the Padres? And do they need it or would they like to have it?
So-
It feels like they kind of need it.
So when you say need or luxury, right? That's how you need or luxury. How can it be a luxury when they don't have, like, they're not afforded to have that to be a luxury? Like a luxury to me is something that I don't need, but I want. Like I bought this jacket the other day. Do I need this jacket? No, I don't need this jacket,
It's nice.
but I wanted it. It was more of a luxury than a need.
Mm-hmm.
Tommy Pham is absolutely in the need category rather than the luxury category because they don't even have anything to be like, well, if we got Tommy Pham, it's not really like you can put him on the bench, maybe start a couple games here and there, maybe be our DH. Like, no, you get Tommy Pham, you are sliding him into that starting 9 right away, and there's nobody behind him. Nobody. Cal Mitchell out there over Tommy Pham. You're not putting Graham Pauly out there over Tommy Pham. You're not even putting Jacob Marcy out there over Tommy Pham. Tommy Pham's your starting left fielder day one.
So, okay. Yeah. So, saying necessity. Now, I would just say, and I agree with you, but I would say, like, okay, what about like the Profar type? I mean, you know what you're getting, which isn't a ton probably of productivity on offense, but he is. I mean, I hate to say cliche, like he's a professional. He can field multiple positions. He is a good defender.
He's professional.
He's had moments. Seriously, even as a Padre, his best numbers. Like I don't want to just completely say like this guy has no ability to help. Maybe in a really good season he could help. So I like there's that caliber of player here now, Jerks and Profar, but like you and I agree, they probably need to do more than that, especially since they're relying on a rookie potentially in Jackson Merrill.
Of course, they need to do more than that. They've been needing to do more than that since the Juan Soto trade. I mean, since the Juan Soto trade, you created 2 new holes in your team or on your team, which was center field and left field. They filled their center field spot with a guy that's never played there before in Jackson Merrill, who we can all say there's cautious optimism there.
Yeah.
But still, it's a completely unknown. And you still don't have an everyday left fielder. You don't have an everyday DH. Your bench is arguably one of the, I mean, I hate to say it, it's one of the worst benches in baseball on paper. We'll see what happens on the field, but on paper, it's not viewed as a solid bench, in my opinion. Things could change. But yeah, you get Tommy Pham, you're getting him because you need Tommy Pham, not because you want Tommy Pham.
Right. And it's not even like there's been so much talk about Pham because there's a familiarity. We've seen him, and we saw him last year go to the World Series and have a nice second half with Arizona, and he's batting like 3rd in the World Series. But I'm not even, it's not even boiling it down to Pham. I mean, Pham's very relatable because Padres fans are well aware of what he provides or doesn't. And you could argue the merits of it. I'm all for it. I have argued the merits before of Tommy Pham. It's not even Pham. It's like the guy that's comparable, the guy that has provided value.
Which is who?
Well, that's where we go to these Michael Taylor types or the Adam Duvall types or the Eddie Rosario types that signed yesterday in an incentive-laden deal that it's not going to pay more than $4 million. That type.
Do you think that the Padres, if you gave AJ Preller and all of them truth serum, do you think they hope to win this year? Or do you think they expect to win this year?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, it's a really good question.
Because if they hope to win, then yeah, they're not signing the Duvalls and the other players because they're just not. But if they expect to win, like if you'd said like okay, with the roster, if they looked at their roster they have right now and say, yeah, with that roster, we expect to win. Just like last year, you looked at that roster, you expected them to win. There was no hope with last year's roster.
Right.
And the year before that as well.
Yeah.
Frankly. But this year's roster, do you think they hope they win or expect to win?
Let me spin it like this. 877-767-4760. As a Padres fan, do you expect them to win this year or do you hope they win? And there's a difference as a fan.
Yeah.
Like that's an expectation question. 877-767-4760. Are you expecting them to bounce back and win? Or are you kind of hoping they bounce back and win? There's a difference. 877-767-4760.
And see where I'm at is it's hard not to think that I'm in like the both category, which is not, it can't happen, but I hope they win. I hope they win. But there are expectations on this team that they made for themselves. So if they don't win, then that's a problem. Because there's expectations that are made by the Padres verbally, whether they believe it or not, right?
Right.
That's what they have told the fans.
Right. So that's another good point. You're making a lot of good points today.
See, I take a day off. I just get time to like re-energize and I get the stent out of me and I'm like, hey, what's up, everybody?
Listen, at least 25 of the 30 teams coming into the season should say the right things. It's surprising when a Rockies owner says, I think we can win 80 games, for example. We know Oakland, you don't even listen. But that's more the other side. Most teams will tell you, we think we can win. The Padres are absolutely in that category in terms of what they've said. And truthfully, their actions over the previous 5 years lead you down a path of they're trying to win. it's very hard to argue with the merits of Peter Seidler's ownership time. Like, they put money where their mouth was. Now, this offseason has maybe changed that, and take out the word maybe. Clearly, they've changed direction. There's reasons. We could talk about TV money. There's other things probably involved. But I wouldn't argue this idea that over the last half decade, the Padres have truly tried to get to a postseason. Now, has my opinion changed with this offseason?
Well, last year's team and the year before that team, that was a big try.
Yeah, big try. No,
Big
seriously.
try.
I mean, like,
And then signing Manny Machado was like the
real tries.
start of hopefully we can get to a
Or even
situation.
Hosmer.
And Hosmer, those two signings were like, okay, now we're moving in the right direction where we can have off seasons like we did in 2021 and
Snell,
2022,
Darvish, Musgrove trades.
where we're like, we're making these moves because we expect to win.
Yes.
And we expect these moves to put us over the top.
Right. So I don't want to say they've 180'd from that. I don't. And I don't think they have. It's just sometimes it gets tough in your mind because you see the lost payroll numbers and you see how they haven't used the money saved from Soto and replaced it to this point. And all of a sudden you have like conflicting thoughts in your mind. But I don't want to say that they're not. I'm with you. It's like you could say you hope they win or you expect that they win. It's probably somewhere in between right now. Like, I wouldn't be shocked, Jim, if you told me, if you fast forwarded 7 months, you told me the Padres went 79-83, I'd be like, yep, they did. Or if you told me they went 86 and 76, I'd say, yep, they did. That range is not a crazy range and is absolutely possible. Disappointing, under 500, not awful, just not great. Doesn't shock me today. And 86 and 76, you know what? They played like the team. They did play like a team that was embarrassed from last year.
Yeah.
And they played pretty well.
Yeah. And you're kind of going into this season, the model is kind of what the D-backs did last year. Now, they didn't win a World Series, but they got there. Padres haven't got there since 98.
Right.
So the D-backs team last year, do you think they went into the season having this conversation of, man, we hope we can win, but we'll see.
They were like one of those like sexy dark horse.
Were they?
I think a little.
I
I
can't remember. I remember how the D-backs started last year and all of us saying like,
this is not going to
one,
last.
that's not going to last. And two, this is kind of like out of the blue.
But were some people saying like they're a year away?
They were saying that their talent and their prospects were like, watch out for the D-backs.
Yeah, but not enough to like make a run.
Right. And they made a run. And then they added to their team this year in a big way.
Oh, big way.
Big way. In their rotation, especially. And you still have, Corbin Carroll, who's one of the best players in baseball.
Right.
And so you're looking at this year's team on the positive side, positive vibes, that you hope that this year's team is like the D-backs team of last year, where they have some top-end talent and they also are infused with young up-and-coming prospects that kind of maybe overachieve. And hopefully that turns into a postseason run. Now, again, that D-backs team last year, they made the World Series. They won 84 games.
Right.
So
that's where we are. You're right.
That's where you are is the D-backs won 84 games last year and had a miracle run in the postseason. You don't really want to bank on that every year for your team.
No, you can't bank on it every year. And honestly, while you hope to exceed expectations and end up in the World Series like Arizona, of course, the teams actually aren't very comparable in terms of the way they entered a season.
Right.
Yes, relying on young talent. You may argue that Arizona needed it and got it, and San Diego needs it in 2024. We'll see if they get it or not. But Arizona's quote-unquote core or veteran group was obviously a lot different than San Diego's, right? They
don't have the Machados, the Tatis.
None of it. I mean, they had some veteran
Sotos
pitching in their
year,
rotation, but
Zach Gallen was really good.
Great. Top 5 Cy Young, maybe.
Merrill Kelly was really good last year for them. Corbin Carroll, obviously.
So, yeah, you want
Walker.
You want to
Christian Walker, I think his name is.
It is his name. You want to get to where they got to. I think they're a lot different in terms of how they've been built. But that doesn't mean you can't have the same result. Like, you're right. They were 2 games. It's, I kind of, you and me feel the same way on this. I mean, we bulk at it. I kind of cringe when I hear like a Manny Machado be like, we only finished a couple games out. Actually, he's right. And like what you just said is factually correct. Arizona won 84 games. The truth is that's 2 more than San Diego. That is factual. Yeah. Now, how they got there is a little different.
Well, what the D-backs did was they started out hot. And then they
kind of held up.
They went on a big slump. And we saw kind of like, that 4-game series here at Petco was like the turning point of the D-back season. They won 3 of 4, kind of put the nail a little bit in the coffin of the Padres. Padres sank, and the D-backs kind of held that off. Trade deadline happened. They get Tommy Pham, and they have a pretty decent August and September to get into the postseason. The Padres didn't get hot until the very end of the year when it didn't matter. That's the difference between last year's D-backs team and the Padres team. Is the D-backs, you could argue, were more consistent over the year with like a stretch in there that was bad that they overcame. The Padres were bad like 90% of the season, and in the last month they were good because it didn't matter.
Right. Yeah, I mean, the hope or expect question that we started this whole thing with, like, I can't even answer it. But I do know this. My expectations for 2024 are different, mine, than 2023.
Yeah, because
they just are.
2023 was like World Series.
Yeah, exactly. Like the only expectation, the only satisfying result was certainly reaching the World Series. You could argue winning it, but that's not the only satisfying result. Like, if we're going to be fully honest here, if the Padres in 2024 play for a National League Championship Series, you're going to say that's a very satisfying season. Consider the conversations of the offseason, the unfortunate, untimely passing of the owner, and the minus $90 million payroll. Shoot, you could even say divisional series, a second playoff round. Not just like that's pretty, it's pretty good.
This team makes the postseason this year. That to me will be a big accomplishment with what has happened this offseason and this roster going into the start of the year. Things obviously change, trade deadline, everything, right? They could change. They can make a big move at the deadline. Don't know if that will happen, but it's very possible, right? They make the postseason, say they lose the first 2 games of the wild card, they're done.
Right.
It'll be disappointing.
But like, hey, they got there.
But it won't be like if last year's team made the postseason and lost the first 2 games of the wild card. Then we'd be pissed.
Right.
Be like, what? How'd that happen? That's different for this year's team. So I get from the expectation standpoint that you're talking about is that the expectations was for last year's team was like NLCS minimum get to the World Series.
Right.
This year it feels like just playoffs minimum and see what happens.
It also proves the point, as I'm hearing what you're saying, like, and I've said this before, and some people don't agree, but there isn't always like the straight line. Like some people think like get in, and then the second year, oh, we made it further, and the third year we won it. That has happened. There's examples of teams that get in, make it further, and win it. There's other examples. I'm sure the Royals back-to-back years are like in World Series. The year before they weren't in the playoffs. I think I have that right. You know what I mean? Like you don't always have to gradually step up a ladder to win. Sometimes you can just win. Give me a recent example of that. The Washington Nationals, maybe not. They were in the playoffs a lot, but there's examples of teams, they don't gradually go up rungs of a ladder to win. They just win.
Texas Rangers,
a perfect example.
Yeah, they got Bochy and
it's a perfect example.
Just went on and won.
Now, again, you can do it both ways. And I thought heading into 2023, hey, got to the championship series in 2022, maybe 23 they take the step forward, and maybe 24 they win it, or maybe 23. But what's interesting here, and I'm not saying they're winning the World Series, but 22 championship series, 23 out. Now what happens in 24? We don't know.
It just goes back to while this roster is definitely incomplete, and while there are still major holes on this roster and their margin for error is very thin, if they don't make the postseason this year, it will be like potentially franchise altering offseason next year.
And
what probably should be, honestly.
And honestly, because what you just said there, like the glass half full of it, because you're right. The half full is like, no matter what you think, they do have Manny Machado and they do have Fernando, and it goes on and on and on. So they got to do it with these guys. Like
have to.
They have guys that a lot of teams do want or would prefer to have. Yeah. Not every team. There's other rosters that are better, but there's a lot of rosters that are worse.
Yep.
So they have enough that if things point in the right direction, you got to get there.
There's a lot more teams they got to compete with because they're not winning the division, most likely. And it makes it harder, but they're absolutely in that group. You're right. They are in that group of the 84 to 88 win range.
Absolutely. It's absolutely possible. We'd be not being truthful if we said it wasn't possible because it is possible.
Yeah.
So they just got to get there.
But-
And if they don't, there are ramifications.
Yeah, if they don't, look, I already thought there was no more excuses after last season, and I still feel that way. You just can't have last year happen and with no consequence at all besides basically telling your manager to leave. And the general manager gets to stay. Doesn't make any sense to me, but I digress. You cannot. I don't care what happened this offseason. I don't care that you didn't make any moves. I don't care that your roster on paper is worse. I don't care you're going to probably play a bunch of young guys. I don't care. You don't make the postseason, it's over with, AJ. It's done. That's it. Simple as that.
On the other side, I want to talk about senior night.
Okay.
Because 12,000 plus of you will be there tomorrow night. San Diego State, Boise State, looking ahead for the Aztecs, putting perspective on the careers of some of these players that are playing at Viejas Arena for a final time. Plus Jim's back page, plus the Brian Dutcher Show at 6 p.m. If you have questions, 70470. Start it with team. That's next. Senior night, final games for a number of Aztecs. We'll discuss what's on the line for the Aztecs tomorrow night against Boise State next.
All right, this update is brought to you by Lowe's. We'll start with the Padres. They have an off day today. They'll be back in action tomorrow. Cactus League play as they take on the Giants. 5:40 first pitch. Yu Darvish will be on the mound, scheduled to start for the Padres. Tomorrow is senior night for the Aztecs. They'll take on Boise State at Viejas Arena. 7 p.m. tip-off. 6 p.m. pregame right here on San Diego Sports 760. Other Aztecs news of the day. Jaden Ledee was announced as a finalist for the Karl Malone Award, given out to the top power forward in the country. The Brian Dutcher Coaches Show is tonight at 6 p.m. with John and Coach Dutch right here on San Diego Sports 760. And the spring football game for the Aztecs is on April 20th, Snapdragon Stadium. Tickets available now at goaztecs.com. Power through your spring at Lowe's with Ego, the #1 rated brand in cordless outdoor power. Buy one select string timer, leaf blower, or mower kit. Get one select 56-volt battery for free. Valid through 4/3 while supplies last. Selections varies by location.
All right, Brian Dutcher, the Brian Dutcher Show at 6 p.m. If you have questions for the head coach of the Aztecs, you can get them in. 70470. Start them with team. Start your message with the word team. Jim's back page in 15 minutes. Let me just say this about tomorrow night, senior night. I mean, trying to do something they've never done, Jim. They've never had a perfect home record.
Well, look what John just did.
I'm not the one. It's not just me. That's how they're starting. That's how they're leading game notes.
I didn't know that.
Of course you didn't. I've said it like 1,000 times.
No, you didn't.
Well, whatever.
Now, I'm just putting that out there. If the Aztecs lose tomorrow night, it is John Schaefer's fault.
No, because that's a factual statement.
I don't make the rules.
I didn't pull a darn a trip like.
Yeah, you did.
Kansas lost.
Yeah, you did.
Now the Aztecs are on the clock.
Yeah, you did. You would have given
these are the questions the media is asking.
You would have given Darnay crap
I'm
if
not
he
saying
tweeted
it.
out.
The most trouble I ever got in as a broadcaster was in a ball.
Perfect game
on a walkie-talkie. You've heard me say it. This is 20 years ago. Someone had a no-hitter in the 8th inning. I was like a 22-year-old. I was on a walkie-talkie communicating with someone like in the front office. I said, "When's the last time Lynchburg had a no-hitter?" You would have thought I cut people's heads off.
Well,
because the guy obviously then didn't throw a no-hitter.
And you kind of just did the same thing, did you not?
No, I didn't. There's a big difference.
Brett, what do you think on this? Mentioning a potential perfect home record that they've never done.
You have to mention it. It's the story going in.
As Brent's eating almonds.
It's not.
They're magic almonds.
It's not like that would be like me saying before Joe Musgrove start, the Padres have never thrown a no-hitter. Well, okay. Before start,
I will stop talking about it.
He has a point there.
Because I will stop talking about it because we're not going to make a big deal of it.
We've made a huge deal.
Even though I've already made a big deal of it because I wanted to get you worried and scared.
I'm not.
But we're not talking about it anymore.
No, listen, Boise State's capable. They're really good.
They're really good.
They're
a good team.
You got to overcome a lot. Like the emotions of senior night, Boise State, you have in your mind. The players know. They've been asked the questions. I was at a press conference today. They're asked, "Hey, what's it like to go perfect in a..." People are asking these questions.
I don't know what it's like because we've never done it before.
So I don't even know where I was going with this. I know where I was going. So think about these seniors. We've had this conversation before, but Lamont, 4-year player, I think you know. Darion, South Regional MVP, you know about the free throw. Jaden, All-American potentially. Micah, big shots throughout his career. Jay Powell, first year here, I think he's done a really nice job considering everything.
Fantastic job. Fit in perfect.
And Kate Alger, I do want to recognize he is a walk-on. He was a walk-on who earned a scholarship. He's a great person, great player.
That's an accomplishment in itself to get a scholarship.
Now, he hasn't had a lot of opportunities on the floor, but he's been here through a lot of success for San Diego State. This is what I was going to say, because Brent knows this as well as I do, and Jim does too, because he spends so much time on social media. You see the way people react, and I'm not judging. People are fans with high expectations. They should be. And people get critical because they love these teams. They love the Padres. They love the Aztecs. And you kind of love and hate at the same time when you're a fan. And Jim loves the Niners, but he hates this player in this moment, right? Everyone does that. And that's fair. But with college athletes, I see the stuff and Brent sees it. Lamont shouldn't be playing. These are the things people say. He should be coming off the bench. This was after. This isn't the last game. What's a recent example of this? He had a game where he didn't score or something.
Not the last game, but the game before.
So this is the stuff people write. And by the way, your opinion's fine. Yeah. And then I'm reminded, in this moment, I'm sitting in Fowler Athletic Center today, and the question was actually posed by Hacksaw, but it elicited an amazing. I mean, he said, "Close your eyes." He's talking to Jaden Ledee and Lamont Butler. And what comes to mind from your time at Viejas Arena? And Lamont Butler, who hits this amazing shot against FAU, is one of the most beloved figures in the history of San Diego sports, certainly San Diego State athletics, and undoubtedly men's basketball, it is in tears because he lost his sister 2 years ago. Remember that?
Mhm.
And he's reminded of it.
Mm.
And he always looks over to a certain area in Viejas before games because that's where his sister used to be. Like, and this is true with professionals and college. They're all human beings.
Right.
We lose sight of it sometimes, me and Jim included. Our job is to offer opinions and to critique, and we do. But, they're human beings. And like, Lamont Butler's done a lot. He's not perfect. None of these guys are. The guys making $350 million like Manny Machado, they've done a lot. They're not perfect. So and they have they're real human beings. And some have, all people suffer real have all human qualities. He's lost a sister. When he lost his sister, was that sophomore year. Remember, he broke his hand, he dunked and braced himself, broke his wrist.
I remember that. Yeah.
And then he came back and he found out that he lost his sister. I think the team was at Utah State. He didn't even skip a game. And I don't even know what point I'm trying to prove other than the fact, like, these people are like you and I. They have jobs, they have highs, they have lows. They're on stages. We're not.
Mhm.
They're asked to perform. You're not. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like,
it's easier, and now it's different with NIL now, but the college athlete is easier to relate to
yeah, no doubt.
than the professional
Right.
athlete that's making tens and tens of millions of
Yeah,
dollars.
Right. And you're right. With NIL, in some examples, it's harder to.
And I'm not saying that
differentiate.
if like a professional player lost a family member, it's not easy to relate because
Sure.
they're making millions of dollars. Like,
Right.
It absolutely is.
Right.
But like the struggles of maybe a college athlete that's not making a bunch of money off of NIL now is easier to relate to than
Sure.
a professional athlete. And in Lamont, he's doing great with the NIL. Like that shot that he hit, I mean, dude, that shot is going to live with him forever. And I hope every chance he gets is as proud of that shot as everyone else is that he made it. And I hope that he always talks about it and he never gets tired of it, because that shot, for me, if I made that shot, dude, I would talk about that every day.
I guess my overall point, I'm with you. My overall point here, I don't even know my point. I'm just talking through it. But my overall point is
We're
like,
just talking about him.
Lamont Butler, Jaden Ledee, Micah Parrish. Who am I missing that's critically important in this conversation? All these players, their legacies are secure. I don't even you're going to be disappointed. I get if the Aztecs make the NCAA tournament and bow out in round one. Shoot, if it's round two, you're going to be disappointed. You might not be thrilled if they lose in the Sweet 16. We're all fans. I understand it. I guess my point is this: they don't have anything to prove. They've done it. They're college athletes. They've played on the biggest stage, and there's a randomness to what's going on. The expectations coming into this year were go win a national championship. You were just in one, like with the Padres. You were just in a championship series. Go get to a World Series. It doesn't always work like that. It's not easy. Lamont the other night, Tuesday night, you were watching Vegas, hits a three, comes up with a steal, lays it in.
Huge
You can't
sequence.
do it. And it was amazing. And they still lose the game. But it's sports is my point.
Well, this Aztec team and this run that they're on, it's the best run in the history of the program.
Right.
And I'm not talking about this year's team. This year's. I'm talking about the last 5 years.
Good point.
Back to the
Basically
30-2 season, even before that. While Dutch has been here, I mean, the run that Dutch has gone on as the coach of the Aztecs. What's his record, John?
It's crazy. I mean,
It's like 170 something and
50.
50.
Yeah. He's won 75.9% of his games.
How many
That's
regular season
crazy.
titles? How many Mountain West Conference tournament titles?
Already too many to count. Does
He's
he have
been
3 regular season and 3 tournament?
As the coach of the team, they've been in every single championship game of the tournament every
6
year,
straight, yeah.
6 straight years. And to know how long it took this program to just reach a Final Four, and then to get to a national championship game, like those things don't come around every year. It's very difficult. So yeah, they lose in the first round of the tournament this year. Will this be disappointing? Absolutely. I would argue that this team, for fans not to lose their mind, probably should be in the Sweet 16. Like I think a Sweet 16 run.
To not lose their mind?
Like if they lose in the first
If they-
round or the second game of the tournament,
People are going to lose their minds?
I think fans are going to be upset.
Oh no, they'll be upset. Of course.
But
I am with
if you make the Sweet 16, I think it will be less upset fans, if you get my point.
yeah, definitely.
Like
yeah, right,
still
because
be,
you've accomplished
there's always
a
going to
ton.
be upset fans. There
Yep.
are upset fans from not winning the national
Losing.
championship
Yeah.
last year.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is like the deeper you go, and if you just make a Sweet 16 coming off a national championship run, coming off of NCAA tournament run, coming off the 30-2 season, I don't think you're going to have like this crazy. Not depending on how the game goes. I mean,
yeah, exactly. You just never know.
You never
right,
know.
Exactly.
Like if they have a 15-point lead with 3 minutes left and they lose, like that's a problem.
Yeah.
But my point is still, you make a Sweet 16 in 10 years, you view it as like, okay, they made a national championship run followed by a Sweet 16 appearance, followed by how many regular season titles they've won, how many Mountain West Conference tournament titles they've won. It's I mean, those rafters are filled. They're filled.
They're gonna need a new building. To your point, 30-2, 23-5 COVID year, 23-5, 23-9.
That was the Syracuse year, right?
Yeah, it was 23-5. That's correct. Think about that. They lost 5 times that year.
Yeah. And then the next year was the Creighton
23-9. Right. They lose to Creighton as an 8 seed. 32-7. They go to a national championship. 22-8. They're trending towards a 5 seed, something like that, in the NCAA tournament. It has been a hell of a 5-year run.
Aztecs fans are spoiled. We are all spoiled with this team, and it's hard to like live in the moment and realize just how incredible this run with not only Dutch but Coach Fisher was for the last 20 years, and how it's going to continue. We don't know this. We don't know the success, but at least like the foundation of this program and with Dutch being here will be for another 4 years.
All right, Brian Dutcher Show, 6 p.m. If you have questions, 70470. Start your message with the word team. Jim's back page next. All right, hey guys, it's Schaefer. I've been telling you about my friends over at Novo Brazil Brewing, which is such a good spot. All of their locations in San Diego County, and they're huge supporters. Speaking of the Aztecs, like we just were, they're huge supporters of the Mesa Foundation Collective. Brian Dutcher telling us yesterday the importance of name, image, and likeness on his program in college basketball. The Mesa Foundation supports San Diego State men's and women's basketball players, and they've got a co-branded kombucha product, Aztecs Raspberry Kombucha, which is terrific and it was taste tested at one of their breweries. Lamont Butler, Jane Ledee, Micah Parrish, Kate Alger taste tested that very product. They've got great locations. Otay Ranch, IB, the brand new one in Mission Valley, which opened up maybe 6, 7, 8 weeks ago. 350 seats. I've been there a few times already with my wife and my son. It's great for families. It's indoor, outdoor. They've got a full bar menu, 60 taps of Novo Brazil beer, the kombucha, tons of flavors, seltzers. And again, it's family friendly because you got great food, healthy food, sandwiches and salads, tacos and burgers, empanadas, appetizers, Brazilian-inspired entrees, and more. Check them out this weekend. These are the best sports bars in San Diego County. For more information, visit novobrew.com. That's novobrew.com. All right, John and Jim, final handful of minutes of Jim's week. It's been a long one here at San Diego Sports 76. It's been a
Jim,
long
week for me. This
has been, for you.
This week.
Maybe not in the air.
Tough. No, I am not on the air. No.
But the week in general has been long.
The week
Are
started
you
out.
ready for Vegas? So it's just you heading out San Diego
Just me.
tomorrow, midday.
So I got.
What is that? Like an hour flight?
Yeah.
So
not even.
Yeah,
in the air.
I leave
in the
at.
air, it's less.
Let's see, when do I leave?
That's how most flights work, John. They're in the air.
Well, but I mean, they say 90
Yeah,
minutes,
yeah,
but
yeah.
they're in the air for 50. You know what I mean?
I leave tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Get in at 12:30.
There it is, 90 minutes. But I think he's in the air for like an hour. Max. Are you going to, what's your first order of business? Food, drink, sporting event, bet?
Get to Circa and eat some food, bet some stuff, bet some money on some games. I might put a future bet down here and there. You never know.
What's the Padres World Series?
That's probably what the first
future.
thing I want to look at the future bet for the Padres.
Number.
And
to
then wait for all my buddies to get there.
You could play like the first inning run line in the big Padres Red Sox, like over a half run total scored in the first inning. That could be fun.
Yeah. It's supposed to be nice in Vegas. Not
Yes,
a little cold.
No, 60s, right?
60s, but like at nighttime, it's supposed to be like 35.
Yeah, well, it's the desert.
It's
But that's
fine.
good. That's nice. For March, it could be colder than that. It can be colder.
Remember last time we were there? It was like
Wasn't it?
130.
Yeah, it could be hotter too. Good point.
Real quick before we get into Jim's back page, yesterday I bitched about daylight savings time for like 5 minutes in the back page. I turned out after the show, I asked Kogo news director Cliff Albert why, since we voted 8 years ago to get rid of it, we're
Right.
still doing it. And Cliff said it's because Congress has to approve it.
Yeah,
So
it's not state by state. He
yeah,
said.
so it's probably never going to happen because we have to wait for Congress to approve it. So that was the solution that we found out as why we still have daylight savings, even though we voted to get rid of it.
So I picked a good weekend to go to Vegas on Daylight Savings Day. Daylight Savings
get
weekend.
one less
You-
hour.
yeah, you lose an hour.
I know. That's my thing.
Yeah.
Great job. Even though I leave, I don't have to
Oh,
worry
you're
about being up.
sarcastic.
Yeah, you're not getting
Yeah.
up at 6 a.m., right?
No,
I know you.
My flight on Sunday leaves at like 3.
Oh, you're
So I'm fine.
all right. Let's play the music.
Doesn't matter. So this was on my back page either a couple days ago or maybe last week. I've worked so much this week, it's hard for me to remember. The booth that was used for The Sopranos' last scene was going for auction, and it was currently being bid on.
Mhm.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah,
it is
yeah,
now
yeah.
officially sold. The final bid that won the actual booth from the final scene of The Sopranos went for guess how much?
Right. Well, you were saying it was in that 20 or 30 range, maybe?
It was-
20, 30K?
It was in like when I mentioned the story, it was around $25,000 or $30,000 the current bid.
50. What do you think, Brett?
75.
$83,000.
A lot of money.
Someone bought that booth for $83,000.
That's crazy. Not me.
Not me.
Yeah.
Not Brent.
No.
Oscar Mayer is launching. You're gonna love this, John. They are launching a plant-based hot dog.
Really?
Yeah, and a joint venture between Oscar Mayer's parent Kraft Heinz and The Knot Company, a Chile-based food tech company backed by Amazon founder Jeff Bezos.
Oh, wow.
They are releasing a plant-based hot dog. Oscar Mayer hot dogs and Knot sausages offer the savory and smoky experience that brand fans have known and loved for more than 140 years.
Is it out yet?
No, it's not out yet, John. It's not out yet.
I'm interested to see how that would produce. I mean, I'm sure that they want to have some of the market share because there's probably other businesses already in that. It's a big like burger market, right? You know, Beyond Burger, like that's a big burger thing. I don't know if it's as big in like the hot dog space.
Yeah, I just want like a regular hot dog.
Well, you can get one. Oscar Mayer's not getting rid of
I know.
hot dogs.
I know. The company said in launching the joint venture's first product in the plant-based meat category, we saw an opportunity to satisfy these customers' cravings to keep the legacy of Oscar Mayer.
Everything else?
Yeah. Hold on. Music playing. Pringles is bringing back a popular flavor after customers demanded it.
What is it?
Well, John, what it is, my phone's loading. No,
Yeah.
Pringles is bringing back a tangy fan favorite that all customers wanted to return. The company announced
honey mustard crisp.
I like that. Yeah, I love that. That's very good. All right, Brian Dutcher show is on the other side. Coming up, if you've got questions for the head coach of the Aztecs, senior night tomorrow night, 70470 start the team. Brian Dutcher on the other side. Jim's on his way from Vegas. Keep it here. San Diego's 4760. Okay.